Agreement has been reached. I think we're probably moments away from getting here we go from Romano. This is finally coming to a head and coming to a conclusion, and Eze will be a Tottenham player. But what a signing! What a signing this is going to be for Tottenham Hotspur.
Look, I've always thought this deal was going to go through. I've been pretty confident about it for the last couple of weeks, but when you hear full agreement has been reached between Tottenham and Crystal Palace, it just brings even more excitement.
But it is finally happening. Tottenham Hotspur have reached an agreement with Crystal Palace to sign Eze. He will be a Tottenham Hotspur footballer. Eze at the Lane. It just feels right. He is a Tottenham player. And we've been wanting this for years. Every Spurs fan has been wanting this for years. If you ask any Spurs fan, this has been the guy really over the past couple of years. It was kind of a dream. It was kind of a dream signing, and look.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see him get going. I can't wait to see him holding up that shirt. Can't wait for the announcement. I mean, this is a massive signing, people. It really is a massive signing. And, you know, a month ago, you never thought this was possible.
Oh, him and Kudus linking up is actually going to be generational. We might win the lot, lads. I'm warning you now.
A few moments later.
We're the only club to ever have a here we go and not sign him. We've had a verbal agreement in the last 48 hours for Eberechi Eze. And our arch rivals, Bonnie Blue settings, we are Lily Phillips. We have just been run through by Arsenal Football Club.
Xavi Simons. I wanted Xavi Simons over Eze in the first place. Eze's the guy now. I want Eze. I've been waiting for Eze for years. Let me just focus on Eze. You know, let me focus on what's right in front of me. Top player. Getting it again. Thinking about how he's going to be combining with Kudus. I was talking about the black excellence I was going to have in my front line. This is Spurs. Spurs.
I'm genuinely. What's the point of Champions League? What is the point?
Daniel Levy is officially the biggest waste man I've ever seen in my life.
I'm disappointed. No, I'm disappointed in Tottenham. I'm disappointed. We should have had this deal done weeks ago. Should have had it over the line. Should have got it done as soon as we started the season. We should have had Eze in the team.
Okay, Jay.
And you know what? Serves us right. Serves Daniel Levy right. Serves Spurs right. Because it's the same old Tottenham. It happens every single season. We're penny pinchers. Penny pinchers. Every single season.
It's okay, Jamie.
And it's happened again. It's happened again. And we're going to miss out on a top quality player who's proven in the Premier League. Just pay the money and get the player over the line.
In Newcastle of the South, Joe.
Madison's done his ACL. Like, we needed Eze. We needed him. And it's an absolute joke that we are going to lose him out to Arsenal, of all teams, who just going to waltz in, pay £60 million, which is what he's worth, and get the deal over the line in a couple of hours.
Oh, him and Kudus linking up is actually going to be generational. We might win the lot, lads. I'm warning you now.
We might win the lot, lads. I'm warning you now.
Welcome back to Six Sided live on the Football Terrace. What an epic day in the summer transfer window. But this is our brand new show, Six Sided. 6 perspectives, 6 topics. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing. We're joined tonight by 2 Gooners. We have Giuseppe and Kunle in the house. Kate is the only Spurs fan who is willing to show her or their face on the Football Terrace today. Everybody else was busy, had prior engagements, was washing their hair, fixing their bike. So thank you, Kate, for being here. Quest is with us today and making his debut on the Top 6 show. Andrew Barnes is in the house as well. We've got some great topics to go through. We're touching on Mo Salah and how good is he. We're looking at the food chain of Premier League football. We're looking at Chelsea's interesting deal for Enciso, with Blueco buying the player. We're looking at Wissa and we're looking at Isak, and should their behaviour result in punishment? We're obviously talking on the subject of transfer surrounding those deals as well. Could the Enciso deal impact what's going on with Garnacho and Xavi? We're touching on all of that. We're looking at Man United and should they give in to player demands? Plus, we're going to be debating the Arsenal squad as well. But evening, ladies and gentlemen, how are you all?
Yeah,
Safe
Buzzing.
Wow. Listen,
we did good. We did good. Big up all my Igbo warriors from Nigeria. Big up all my Igbo guys out there, man. Igbo United is coming. It is coming. And Terry, I know this ain't a rave, but can we request reloads on the show? Because that intro was crazy.
That was
I don't know what I've got on the sound deck. I don't know if I've got that on my sound deck, but we could definitely look. I don't know if we've got that. No, we haven't got a reload, but what have we got? No, we don't. We've got a scratch.
Never put that compilation together.
That's as good as I got. No, but yeah, we've got this one for Kate.
I'm really rethinking my life choices about coming on the show tonight, and we've only been on 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever.
That's all right. Well, at least you turned up, unlike Tottenham's negotiation team. Do you know what I mean? So at least you're here with us tonight. At least you're here. And look, we're going to jump straight. Yeah, maybe a little too soon. I apologize. Look, I want to go into the first subject of the night, which is related to the intro, related to the big breaking news. We're going to talk about what comes next for Arsenal, because fans are asking for Rodrygo. We know his agent is in the UK, and Arsenal could be a team that they look at. But all the fictional football questions we ask are based on tweets that were trending today, or topics trending by various football fans. So the first question, and I'm going to go to Giuseppe first on this one, is fictional football. Eze joining Arsenal now gives them the most balanced and strongest squad in the Premier League.
Oh, fiction. Is that the thing? Are we saying? Am I elaborating on what?
Yeah. You then elaborate on it. Yeah. Otherwise, the show will be done in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Fiction. I think we're close, but I think Liverpool are probably a bit more balanced than us. Especially if they sign Alexander Isak. For me, the left wing is still the issue. So Eze is not an out-and-out left winger. So if I want to be real and say the most balanced team would need an actual left winger. I know this might not have nothing to do with Eze, but say we sign Rodrygo, I then think that that's actually right.
Okay, there's a lot of pressure been put on Arsenal today, and many would say rightfully so, that no excuses. I think they've spent the most amount of money in Europe since they last won a trophy, is a stat that's I've never seen that stat before, but it's going around today. I think it's the best part of €1 billion, according to a few outlets. Hussam on the show last night said openly that they've now got a better squad and a better team, and they're now the favourites to win the Premier League. Do you think that pressure should exist? Whether you agree with that statement or not, well, I want your opinion on the statement, but how much pressure should there be on Arsenal now this season?
Hussam is playing the old leopard in the tree again, and that they're underdogs. We all know what Hassam's doing. Listen, I completely agree with Giuseppe, actually. I think they're very close, Arsenal, and I think Eze is that needle mover that could push them to win the league. It could. I think they're close now. But I do think, on the left you've got Martinelli and Trossard, is it? Is that all you've got on the left? I don't think they're good enough to be in a title winning team. But business isn't done yet. Look, it's not only that, it's the mentality of the club. Liverpool now are winners. They know how to win. Man City win all the time. Arsenal have got to get over, obviously they've won the league, but a while ago now. They've got to get over that barrier of winning it.
Okay, I don't think that was the question, but continue.
No, but I'm allowed to elaborate, Kunle. Wait and see. So for me, this is the year they've got to do it. They've had probably the best transfer window they've ever had for as long as I can remember. They've brought in absolute quality all over the pitch. They've got to win it this year for me. Otherwise, serious questions need to be asked. I don't know if they're the most balanced, but they've got to be right up there as one of the big favourites because of that Eze deal.
What are you saying, Kunle, as an Arsenal fan? First of all, to the question, do you now have the most balanced and strongest squad in the league? And irrespective of that, have the expectations for you now changed this season?
I'd say fiction, because I believe the most balanced squad in the league is Chelsea, personally, and then Liverpool. So I think we're the third most balanced squad. That's assuming that Liverpool do get Isak, by the way. If we get Rodrygo, like Giuseppe said, I might have some different things to say. But right now, Chelsea got 2 quality players for every position. So I think they're the most balanced squad in the league. In terms of my expectations of Arsenal, I think, like, you know where I'm at, Terry. Like, Arteta was supposed to win the league last year, so he's got zero excuses for me this year. Like, even if we didn't get Eze or anyone else, he's got to get it done. So that's where I'm at with it. But Chelsea's the most balanced squad in the league for me.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, Kunle.
That's why I scored 6 sides. That's why.
I didn't expect.
You're gassing these man up for what? I don't know if you're plotting.
Hey, Giuseppe, tell me how I, Kunle, can possibly gas up the world champions. Does that even make sense?
No, but I feel like there's something.
How can I gas up the champions of the world?
When they don't do that in this season, they you can laugh at them because, bro, you can't say they're the most balanced team with their defense.
Tell me why not? They got 2 quality strikers. They got like 17 wingers. 50 midfielders.
But you know
what I'm saying?
They
got balance, bro.
I'd personally argue that having too many players can also counterbalance stuff, like can actually affect balance in a team, right? Just because balance don't work just like you've got not enough. You can have
but
too
that's
much.
Why we have Strasbourg, Giuseppe. That's why we have Strasbourg. When there's too many players, we have Strasbourg.
Exactly, but they got plan Bs and plan Cs for everything.
I don't know. I think that they have
that
too
Chelsea
many players.
ship.
I think
well-oiled machine.
For me personally, when you're looking at a team and saying they're balanced, they've got a good number of players. Everyone gets good time. Everyone's happy. Like, I just feel like with Chelsea, they've got too many players getting left out of Champions League squads and that because they've got top players getting left out of the Champions League squad. For me, that's not great balance. That's just overcrowding.
Giuseppe, who are we to tell the world champions how to act, bro? Don't.
Oh, here we go.
I thought we had sense here, but clearly we're not doing sense. I actually thought you were making a good point. If we're talking about balance, right? Then having 2 players in each position is actually good balance. But I see that you've mixed balance with saying that you think that we're actually crap, which typical from an Arsenal fan. No trophies, don't worry. Listen, let me not even do that because it's not about that.
Don't
right?
translate my words how you want to interpret them. My favorites for the league this year is Chelsea, and you lot can challenge me on that if you want.
So I can see.
No, you really believe that?
False. They proved me wrong last season, Terry. You know how I was very much against Chelsea last season. And they proved everything I thought they wouldn't do, they ended up doing. So I'd be stupid to doubt them now. I even doubted that they sell us Madueke, and look, here we are, we have him. So I'll be dumb to challenge Chelsea being the best squad in the world.
Kunle, can I just say something? The way Arsenal fans have been celebrating, obviously I get it, you've got one over on us, which is always a massive thing, because it'd be the same for us. Why are Arsenal fans not coming out with chests now and saying we should be the favourites? You've got the best defence in the league. Some say the best in Europe. You're always going on about Starboy Saka. You've got your Gyökeres now. You've now brought in Eze. Why haven't Arsenal fans got any chest?
Okay, so Kate, that's a really good question, and I love the question, and I explain why. Like, as far as I know, we've not won the league in 20 years. Correct? Correct. And the people that we're up against are one won it last year, the other one won it the year before, and the other ones are world champions. Why should I be the favorite out of those 4? Tell me, explain how that works to me.
Because you've brought in Gyökeres, who everybody was absolutely creaming their pants over because he scored so many goals. You've brought in Eze, who apparently is the messiah from the last 24 hours that we've found out. You've got Saka, who is the star boy that everyone rates so much. You've got the best defence in Europe, according to your fans. You've got an unbelievable keeper. And then you've got...
Oh, we do. Thanks. Appreciate it.
And then you've got the likes of Odegaard and Eze. You know, I just don't get it. There's no chest from Arsenal fans at all.
Look, Kate, for me, Arteta has to win the league. Does that mean we're the favourites? No. Favourites or no favourites, Arteta, get it done. I'm not giving you no excuses this season. Get the thing done. You shouldn't even be there this year anyway. You got another year, so let's have it. But the favourites, if we're talking about favourites, we got to look at we can't just go by signings that no one's seen play for Arsenal properly. I'm going by what I know. And as of now, that might change in January, but as of now, I don't see how we can be the favourite.
Well, let me throw this question out, because again, I hear this a lot. Like, Arsenal must, Arsenal should. I understand it from the perspective of, I mean, it is. I went and just checked. It is a fact that in terms of the top 5 managers, in terms of spend and clubs spend since their last major trophy, Arsenal have now hit $1 billion. It's in euros because it's from transfer market, but it's $1 billion for Arteta, 535 million for Simeone. Interesting one on here: 472 million for Unai Emery, 438 million for Pep Guardiola. Which shows how much he spent since with one season with no trophy. Like, it's half of what Arteta's had in 5 years. Yet people try and compare the two. It's crazy. And Niko Kovac, 407 million. But when I want to throw this out to Andrew, when people say that Arsenal must, is that a fair statement if they're not also saying they are the best team with the best prospects and the best chance of winning it? Can't hear you. Your mic ain't connected properly. You must have.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. You must have turned it off. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying that definitely they must this season because of what Kunle just said. It's that there's no more excuses for Arteta. But I also agree with what Kate was saying, that Eze is a needle mover. Okay, so for me, the question to this fiction of football, I think it's football because of the fact that Eze. No, I'll tell you why, Kunle. Because Eze is a game changer in any team that he plays for. If he went to Spurs, he would make them better. Okay, if he came to Chelsea, he would make us better. This guy individually has been good always. Like, individually, he has always been good. He has this X factor with him, right? And this Arsenal team already bought for different positions to sort of strengthen themselves. And the left was the problem. I mean, you all took Madueke from us and playing him on the left. I don't know why, but anyway, you all did. But I think Eze going there, either playing the 10 or playing on the left, is going to be game-changing for you. And I fully believe that because of how you all bought, because of the 3 consecutive second places, because of all of these things put together, this season you must not even challenge, you must win the league. And I also get your hint of sarcasm in your, like big upping us, saying that, okay, how can you challenge against world champions? We haven't won the league in a long time as well. We haven't won the league.
You're the champions of the world.
That doesn't matter. We have not won the Premier League.
It mattered when you won it. So let's keep it consistent.
No. I am not dissing. I am not dissing that trophy. I'm not dissing the championship. I will say it with chest. We are champions of the world. But there's the Premier League and there's a record in that. And we have to be also honest with ourselves. We haven't proven to do this consistently long enough. In a short tournament against the teams that we had to face. In football, you beat the person that's in front of you, right? They gave us that fixture.
What, the European champions, PSG?
In my opinion, bro, if we have to win the league, you have to win the league. Yeah. Now let me elaborate. If you guys want to say Arteta has to win the league to keep his job, that's a different thing. But if you're coming in and saying Arsenal Football Club have to win the league this year, then you have to win the league because you won the World Cup, the Club World Cup. No, hold on. Chelsea are out here with chess saying they're the best team in the world now. So therefore, you should have to. You've also spent over $1 billion in the last however many years. You've spent more money than us. If you're just talking about spend, you've spent more money than us in the same period of Arteta. I can understand saying Arteta to keep his job needs to win the league. I agree with that, right? Because that's an individual. That's him. That's his performance. But Arsenal as a club, we haven't got the best team. If you want to sit here and say we haven't got the best team, then we shouldn't win the league. If that makes sense.
No,
once
again,
Kunle, what I'm saying is Arteta. We're saying this because Arteta, is the manager and he's been here that long. If we had a brand new manager with this squad, we wouldn't say he has to win the league.
So again, I get it from both sides, and I do see the argument that Arsenal haven't won something for so long they must do this year. It's when people start to explain what they mean, because what I've seen a lot on Twitter today is there's no excuses for them to not win the league. And my instant gut reaction is, what if Liverpool get 98 points and barely lose a game and smash everybody in front of them? That isn't an excuse. But Liverpool being better is not an excuse. It's a legitimate reason. I do feel there's an element of, and it's fine if you actually think Arsenal are a really good team and you think their manager's good enough. It kind of makes sense to say I think they will. I think they're one of the favourites, and I think they must go on to do it from here. But if you still think they're only the third or fourth best team in the league, I then don't understand how your brain goes to they're the third best in the league. There's 4 or 5 better managers than Arteta, therefore they must win the league. I almost don't understand the logic in it.
Do you know what it is, Terry? Like, the honest thing is Arteta must justify why he's still at the club by winning the league. That's what it is. Not based on our transfers, not based on the big bottom line is you need to justify why you're still here, big man. Why should someone else not get a chance? And I don't know about you, Terry, but if my team were the world club champions, I'm not scared of anyone coming into this season, bro.
No, but I want to rebut what you and what Giuseppe said.
Hey,
okay?
if I'm just saying, like, if my team, if I'm calling my team world champions and I'm then being asked, are you gonna go for the title this season? I'm saying yes with chest. We're the champions of the world. Like, what? Why is that so? I don't know why that's hard to.
No, but I'll tell you. So here's the fact. Okay, fact is that we are the champions of the world. Fact. Okay, fact is that we won the Conference League. But these are all facts. The fact is that Arsenal is not
the European champions that beat every other.
No, all of these are fact. Okay, right? But irrespective of who won that, whoever won that match, the best team in the world for me is still PSG because of the fact of how they won the Champions League, the run that they went on, the type of football that they played. For us, for Chelsea, the fact is that whatever tournament, UEFA, FIFA, whatever they created, whatever tournament they put us in, the fact is that we went and we won it all. So we won whatever was there to win. These are facts. This is not how I feel. What I feel, I'll tell you, is that this season there's no must. We must win. But next season, I will start to come with this chest to say if we don't win anything this season, which
I think there's a world where Arteta must win something or he could lose his job. Maybe I'm just not a fan of these, crazy overarching statements about winning the league because you just don't know how good other people are going to be. And that's the only problem I have with it, because none of us know. We all have an opinion. We all think Liverpool are going to be amazing. We all think City are going to be much better than last year. I think Chelsea will improve on last year personally. But also, no one predicted Nottingham Forest being as good as they were last year as a standout example. In fact, I was called crazy this time. So the same people saying, no, Terry, you must say this about Arsenal. Well, you're the same people that said to me last year I was crazy for saying Liverpool could be in a title race. They went on to win the league at a canter. That's the only element where I don't like those overarching statements are great for clips. They go viral online, and I understand that. I'm in the game, played the game, I've been in the game for a long time. But I'm just too long in the tooth now of having these conversations. If Liverpool and City have two of the greatest seasons ever known by a Premier League team ever, that's not about no excuses. That's a genuine reason. What I will say, there is no excuse, is for this Arsenal team to not be in the title race until the dying day or two. There is no excuse for this Arsenal team to not be pushing for semi-finals and finals of the Champions League. That is where I think there's no excuse. That is where they have to be. Winning it, though, I just think that's slightly one step too far, because Liverpool are better than them and are about to spend more money than them, and are probably still going to add Isak to their team. So I just can't sit there in good conscience and go, as an entity, as a club, they have to win. I get from their own fan perspective, you'll feel like that. I get the Arteta element, but I hear too many people say it, and then you go, do you think they're better than Liverpool then? No, Liverpool are much better. And it confuses me personally.
But Terry, I have a question for Kunle and Giuseppe. I just want to know that if Arsenal, you said they have to win something. So if they win just the FA Cup, what happens then? Will you be happy?
Bro, I said the league. I didn't say anything. I said the league or the Champions League.
I'm asking this based on Gary's question.
Even if we win a League Cup and FA Cup double, he's got to walk, bro. I'm being deadly serious.
For me, if we don't win a major, there'll be two things I look at. One, how we performed in the league. Like Terry said, if it's something like we got 97 points and they got 99 points, I might have to look at it. The second is, even no matter what, I'd be looking at someone else. For example, if we win the FA Cup, but Luis Enrique is available to come to Arsenal, I'd get rid of Arteta and bring in Luis Enrique, if that makes sense. So,
an example, yeah.
for an example. So for me, it depends. But I agree with Terry when people say we're not the best team or this or that. Because for an example, Andrew, bro, who do you think's got a better team? Who do you think's better, us or you, team wise? Us or Chelsea? Oh, so
for me right now, no. For me right now, I like my team in terms of the balance that you said. At the back, we still need to like tweak a little bit, but I think that your team is fully because of again how you all pushed Liverpool last season, and for the seasons before that, you came second, and now that you've added like potent strikers, like you have like the front line is because your defense was always like really solid. Right, but because of who you've added right now, I think that you have a better.
I'm going to go to Quest next. What I will say though, because I want to be fair and balanced on this, where the people use the phrase "they have to win," where I would understand that phrase if people explain it in this ways, I think there is an element of having to win based on if it's another year without a major trophy, the league, the Champions League. It's can you keep the group together? Will you go? All teams have a forget the average age of a team. I think all teams have a kind of validity period as a unit with a manager with a certain approach. And sometimes you can peak, but you don't win enough, or you don't win anything. And that's the one thing where you may look at it and say this Arsenal group that they just added. In fact, they added 7 players to it, but this Arsenal group with Arteta. There is the view that this could be the last chance they all have as a collective with this manager to win something. That makes a lot more sense if you explain it that way. I just read a comment that said something similar. Big up Rob, who wrote that in the comment, because I went, yeah, actually, that's maybe where it makes more sense. I've just been struggling to understand people's rationale behind saying they must, because a lot of it feels, if I'm being honest with you online, a lot of it feels like an empty thing. It's a throwaway comment. They're like a parrot. A parrot doesn't understand that the phone's ringing. It can just make the noise. A parrot doesn't understand it's the morning. They just say good morning. I get a lot of that online. Like an empty vessel makes a lot of noise. But
people that don't even rate our team will say that we must.
Yeah,
so I hear what you're saying on that side.
And that's true. And it's like what you said, Terry. That thing that you just said about having the reason explaining it, that's fair. But the fact is, 90% of people saying it don't think that. They're just saying it. It's like, so if we don't, they can banter it. It's all it is.
But can I just add context to this, right? And this needs to be said because obviously we're mentioning Club World Cup and the Conference League in, sort of like a laughable manner. But I think actually the truth is...
Who's mentioning it that way? Who's mentioning
that's what I thought the way you were mentioning it. If I'm wrong, I apologize. You get it,
Apology accepted.
But for me, I look at that and go, that's what hurts a lot of people about Chelsea, is that actually in one of their worst periods, and this is one of our worst periods in terms of the players we have versus the teams above us, nobody rates our team. We're still winning. And the reason why I'm saying Arsenal have to win the Premier League this season is because contextually, we're not just talking about 20 odd years of not winning it. We're now talking about 3 years in a row of being the bridesmaid and not the bride. You have to win it. The very fact that Liverpool can get 98 and 99 points is a moot point, because at the end of the day, if you're there fighting, you might be able to stop them. Somebody else might be able to stop them. You've got to be there till the very end to be able to challenge. So for me, if they get 98, you should be able to get 99. If you can't get 99, it just means you're not good enough. That is not to say, oh, it's an excuse because Liverpool are just too good. No, that cannot be.
So Quest, I think I get contextually. You're right. Again, I think it's how people frame it in the first instance. If it's a case of Arsenal have to bring some silverware home with what they've spent and to keep the manager, if they come second on 97 points, they still haven't done it. They're still going to get ripped into. They're still going to get bantered. I get it from that point of view. If it's a case of the other side, which is they've got to prove they're the best team in the league, I think being ousted by a team that's just slightly better, I don't necessarily think comes with the same embarrassment. I really do. That's why I ask people what they mean by the comment, because I like to understand the context. So the winning thing, as a Man United fan, we had a horrible year last year, but I don't feel embarrassed by the fact that one of my big rivals in Leeds United won a league title in the Championship, because I don't want to be in the Championship. I don't think any Arsenal fan truly looked at last season and went, oh, we didn't win anything. Fucking hell, Chelsea. When you won the World Club Cup, yes. But I don't think they looked at the Conference League and went, oh, that's made me feel worse. Because to have been in the Conference League like Chelsea were, you'd have had to have had 2 or 3 really bad seasons. And that's where I like to have these conversations. I remember, I think it was Yardman. I got respect for the guy who makes content do your thing. I don't know him personally. He's probably a lovely bloke. But the whole, I'd rather be in the Europa League every year with a chance of winning it versus in the Champions League. That kind of flawed logic in this is silly, because if you're a team that can only qualify for the Europa League every year, that means you're sixth best in the Prem. Being sixth best in the Premier League means you're probably not as good as this Arsenal team, which means you're not guaranteed to win the lesser trophies because you're not as good. And I think it's just important to challenge people's, not what they say, it's the logic and the breakdown of why they're saying it. And what you said, I think holds water. I think you made a good point.
I just think that's not fair. Like, at the end of the day, like, if we add context, let's talk about context, right? We had an oligarch get removed from our club because the government said we've had enough. Man. No, look, see what I mean? This. I'm just adding context. I'm not saying Chelsea are victims.
Context and looking for pity are two different things.
Let me finish. I'm not talking about pity. This ain't about pity. Chelsea had what they done to them. If Chelsea don't recover, that's on you lot. Do you get it? That's on Chelsea.
But what has that got to do with this season? I'm just wondering.
I will get there if you let me finish.
Please,
right?
Please.
So my point is
land the plane.
Yeah, we're not victims. Because what happens, even though that's never happened to any other club. So cool, let's move on now. We move on.
We're not victims, even though that hasn't happened to anyone. So victim. Okay, cool. Carry on.
Yeah, but two things can be true. You can be a victim, and
it's like, I'm not going to bring up that we got a red card, but the red card. Anyway.
But this
make your point.
This very mentality is exactly what I mean. Yeah. The difference is when it comes to Chelsea, the argument is Chelsea should be winning because we spent that much money. Even though, as you said, we've been finishing consistently lower than all of the clubs above us for the last 2 or 3 years. So Arsenal actually being in the position to win it means at this point, with the money they are now spending and the players they're now bringing. Listen, if you spent 60 mil and you brought in Dan James, right, and Calvin Phillips, I wouldn't have a word to say. But you're bringing in Gyökeres, you're bringing in Zubamendi, you're bringing in one of the Premier League's top 5 players right now on form in Eze. If you spend this much money on this much quality, which is always the argument against Chelsea, you have to be winning something, and the FA Cup is not good enough.
But I don't think Arsenal fans disagree that they've got to. And I've certainly been doing this as a rival. They're being judged on what they win. I just think the point I was making is that I don't think they should be using a team that had been failing in the previous 2 or 3 years, winning a much smaller trophy than they're in. I don't think they should be looking at that. Now, the World Club Cup's different because to be in that, you have to be a Champions League winner in recent years, or from Europe, you have to be of a certain level of qualification. Although there were Italian teams in it that hadn't won the Champions League, so there's an argument in there. There are certain teams that have won league titles in recent years who weren't at it, but teams that hadn't won a league in a lot longer or the Champions League were there. But there's those arguments. But Chelsea were there by merit, and that's different. But equally, for us, again, hand on heart, let's be really honest. If Arsenal were in the Conference League last year and instead of Chelsea, do we all think Arsenal would have won it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think we would have won it even if we win it with Chelsea.
Come on. You don't think they would have beaten the teams that were in the Conference League last year?
Terry, just accept his first answer. We knew that would be his answer.
No, because honestly, the truth is, I didn't know if Chelsea would win it. And everybody was like, what do you mean?
How can you, sorry, bro. How can you sit here and say, hold on. How can you sit here and say you don't know if we would have won the Conference League and then you're going to tell us we have to win the Premier League this year?
Because
make any sense?
Because what I'm saying to you is there's no guarantee on anything. There's never a guarantee.
Well, that's what predictions are about, no?
All right, but you didn't ask me what my prediction was. You asked me
There's
what I
no guarantees, exactly.
Right, and so my belief was going into that season in the Conference League, there's no guarantee we win it. We did win it, and I'm very happy we won it. I don't know if any team going into that would have won it. Only teams that I would have put a sure bet on.
No team
City and Liverpool,
2 billion could have won that, man.
You see, this is what I don't understand. How can it be about money?
Do you know what, Quest? Okay. So let me rephrase the question then. Do you think any top rich big Premier League team, so Chelsea, United, Liverpool, City, or Arsenal, do you think any of them going into last year's Conference League would be seen as the favourites, the clear favourites to win it?
City, based on the fact that they have Pep, yes. Liverpool, based on the fact that they have Salah, Van Dijk, Trent, yes, because the quality is phenomenal throughout the squad. If we're talking about squads, that is why when Chelsea went into that competition, I'm looking at the squad going, I don't know if our squad can do this. I'm looking at the squad finished 6th last year, 10th the year before.
The Conference League, bro.
Like, no, but I don't agree with you.
Before last season, have you ever heard of Noah's Ark except from in the Bible? But yet you played a team called Noah. Like, what are we doing
The
here,
season
man?
before
Like,
you,
this is
the
this,
season
like,
before
do you know what I
were
like
in
you?
it.
I watched you on the last show, and I like how you word things. You're very good at it. Very
The
articulate.
season before
Obviously,
you won it, you watched West Ham that aren't great win it. So how can you then go?
he
to
knows.
the next
Hey, bro,
season?
he knows.
No,
what
but I believe
Andrew,
I
very
believe
quickly,
the
'cause
top-
we need to get to the super chats. Go on, mate.
Smart guy.
No, but Terry, I believe the top four, like you said, I don't know about Rich thing, but any team that finishes in the top four of the Premier League can go and win the Conference League. I can fully say this because of the teams that are there in the Conference League.
And I do
Okay?
understand that. I understand that pedigree plays a part. Okay, but again, this is where I think the Arsenal argument's a little disingenuous because when they were at their
but
best,
I think that the Club World Cup, I don't think.
But I didn't bring the Club World Cup. No, I didn't bring that up. But we're talking about the fact Arsenal weren't entered into that, so they're not in it. But the Conference League and stuff was used. Like, it's like the pedigree conversation. I get Arsenal's pedigree in Europe in terms of winning it isn't where anybody where people would want it to be. And they never quite did enough. They were never quite good enough to win it when they're at their pomp under Arsene Wenger. And nobody's going to sit there and deny that. But had that Arsene Wenger team been in the been as good as that, but in the Europa League or the UEFA League more regularly, there is a much stronger argument to say they could have won 2 or 3 of the lesser European tournaments. That would make their record of winning it better. But in fact, you were only ever in that tournament if you weren't as good in the league. And that's what's happened with the top 4 of the big leagues giving you Champions League qualification in this period. Arsenal's maybe their greatest period in their history has come where the top 4 teams go into the Champions League, where a lot of other clubs will win it, picking up European trophies in a time where you could narrowly miss out on being champions of England, and you'd you'd often go into the 3rd tier, which is nowadays Conference League, because the FA Cup winners would go into the Cup Winners' Cup. And if you came second or if you won the Cup Winners' Cup, people would always choose to go into the Cup Winners' Cup over the UEFA Cup. There is a timing element in here as well. Now, that isn't to say that Arsenal haven't done enough, but I don't necessarily look at a team who's won the Europa League in the last, say, 10, 20 years, 3 times, as having much better pedigree than a team like Arsenal, who have won you got the Cup Winners' Cup and you've won the Intercity Fairs, which is what UEFA Cup used to be. So they've won 1 Cup Winners' Cup, which was the 2nd tier, and they've won a UEFA Cup version. But I don't look at a team that in the 20 years that they were consistently in the Champions League, I don't look at a team that's never won a Champions League either, who's won 3 Europa Leagues, as having better pedigree in Europe than Arsenal, because they've won the lesser version of a tournament that Arsenal were never in. That's where I think the conversation, when it's Chelsea have a higher pedigree because they've won right across the board. But I think it becomes very disingenuous when you start going, there are teams that have won more league titles in Liverpool in the last 30 years, but they've won the championship 3 or 4 times. That doesn't make them have more pedigree in the modern day era at league level than Liverpool. I just think those kind of arguments are a little bit baseless, if I'm being absolutely honest. Let's go to some super chats here. There's loads of them, and we've obviously got loads of other subjects to get onto. This here says, I don't think Rodrygo leaves Real Madrid for all the media noise being made. He's always said he wants to stay. That came out today, that he still wants to stay and fight for his position. Do you think he'll leave? Anyone think he'll go still?
I think he might go. He might go on loan for a year somewhere, maybe. I don't know. I don't see him. Don't start, Kunle.
I heard some rumors about that.
He's going permanent. I don't think he's going on loan. I don't think that Rodrygo is the kind of loan player. Either he goes or he doesn't.
I think
not on loan.
I think if he doesn't leave now or in January, we get to really understand the type of player Rodrygo really is. Is he just in love with being at Real Madrid? He's won literally everything there already. Or does he actually care about being the best left winger in the world? Does he care about? Does he have more ambitions beyond that? Because if he's staying there, when they're not playing him in the Club World Cup, plus they're bringing on an 18-year-old as a substitute instead of him, when he's got all that stuff he's won at Madrid, I think you just have to you just have to settle for your career.
To argue that though, it could.
Guys,
be
if you
mentality.
the private chat for me as well, that'd be great. But go on, Giuseppe. Say your piece. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, Rodrygo staying. I don't really necessarily think that means he's got a poor mentality yet. Because he might have the mentality like, I think I'm actually good enough to get back in this team. I'm not in the manager's favour right now, but I'm going to prove myself and I'm going to get back into that team. I think if you don't play all this season and stuff, and then next season he stays, then you can question that.
Wayne here says, world champions, lol, the damn trophy is literally sitting in the Oval Office. It's a joke of a tournament, is what Wayne says here. Why is nobody saying price of Eze is too much when Mbumo is supposedly very expensive when Mbumo scored way more goals? Well, we know why that is. That's because people just like to slag off whatever Manchester United do, and it's ridiculous. My issue with Arsenal is this. We always seem to sign the players and play them out of their natural positions. We need a left winger. We sign a left winger. Why are we signing a 10 who plays wide? Eze is fantastic, but as a 10. But I don't think he's an out-and-out 10 in the sense of he drifts out there. And a lot of players start wide but drift in central. Some players start central. Mbumo's now playing in what is a central role, but his aim is to drift out. And we're asking for our fullback. Some of them are going to invert. Some of them are going to overlap. And I think you need that dichotomy in your attack. But great super chat. Oh no, Kate lost all her friends again. Only Spurs fan with balls is Kate. We love Kate is what Tony says here. Arsenal fans equal mixture of United and Spurs mentality is what Football Knowledge says. If Eze scores against Spurs, he won't celebrate out of respect for the days he spent with them in Photoshop.
That's actually really funny.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Zubi says, we are clear favourites. We have a backup in every position from keeper to striker. Eze, Saka, Gyökeres trying stopping that and scoring against Saliba and Gabriel.
Not to mention a £70 million keeper in backup, right? Don't forget.
Well, you paid that. They paid 3 million. So let's say, what are we getting? What are you getting at, Kunle? The only 3 areas of our team that is balanced is our fullbacks, midfield, and strikers. We have 3 wingers, and our centre back situation isn't good. City most equipped. You do realize that that Kunle is being exceedingly sarcastic and pedantic based on things Chelsea fans have said, as opposed to expressing his true self here. Like, read between the lines. It's, you know what I mean?
Read between his smile. Like, read between his smile, I said. Like, Kunle says everything with this smirk.
But that's me. That's always me, Terry. Is there anything like that's me since I've been on the terrace?
Exactly. It's why you rattle so many people. Shane here says
if you doubt with what I'm saying, that means you might have an element of doubt.
Exactly. That's what it is. Shane here says that the intro is proof that you don't tell people who are going to the moon. You tell them when they are going there.
And you tell them once you get there. So in other words, don't give it large until the deal's done.
No, I
Don't
mean,
count your chickens before they're hatched, basically.
yeah, some mad tweets I saw from yesterday as well in the build up to the day. Arteta doesn't need. You see that guy, that Spurs fan who talks like he knows what's going on? He done the Gibbs. Why? He was the guy. I forgot about him. He did it like 5 years ago when you guys finished 4th and Arsenal finished 5th. He did this whole "you're finished forever" type thing. But the way he talks is such authority. And I was watching him talk, right? And I don't like to judge people, but I was a little bit like, if you had that influence, that power, and you knew those kind of people, it's like your surroundings would probably look a little bit different. Maybe that's my only thought on it. Do you know what I mean? Like, one of Daniel Levy's mates hasn't got one of those, because I've got them, those throwaway tins on the top of your kitchen shelf, right? That's such a working class povo thing, because I do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you've got like, one of the things that I know I'm a povo, and if you do this, then you're a povo. There's another thing in the kitchen that makes you a povo. When you got shit on top of your fridge, if there's things on top of your fridge, you're a povo. You know what I mean? The old poshies don't do it.
Povo, you know.
Povo. We're all povos. We're working class povos. It's what we are. It's what we are. Arteta doesn't need to win anything this year or next year. No one is talking about how they are buying all these players. He's been an economic godsend, a top 3 for the last 5 years, because the trophies will come as will the dollars.
Yeah.
Chelsea squad cost more than it's true. I did read that. Yeah, Chelsea squad cost more than every other squad combined that was in the Conference League last year. That's crazy, isn't it? That's a crazy stat.
If you got it, flaunt it.
Exactly. Rob here says,
Don't say that. Anyway.
I knew opposition fans would say the FA Cup wouldn't be enough if we won it. The Conference League, though, we all should bow down. Lol.
Yeah.
So your argument is, if we lost, is we lost our blood money and got one of the biggest investment groups. Woe is me. Spend more than anyone else in the world, but Arsenal is what CH14 says.
God bless you.
For ages, I thought CH14 was a Spurs fan because of the TH. I just realized that's Thierry Henry. I just realized what the initials meant. Chelsea played their second team until the final. Yeah, that's also it. You could never do that in any other European even the
Parma was not
Europa
even
League
registered. Terry, Parma was not registered until the knockouts.
Isak saga is long. Is long. Need a forward. Move to someone else like Rodrygo. Plus, we need to improve. Well, that's that next story. Okay, because before we go into the next fact or fiction part, there's just been some breaking. We know Wissa to Newcastle is close, but there's been some breaking news since we've been live from a journalist called Nathan Judah, who says here that the two clubs are now around. He says that Wolverhampton Wanderers and Newcastle are around £5 million apart on a deal for Jørgen Strand Larsen to join Newcastle United in a deal worth around 60 to 65 million pounds. So it looks like Newcastle could be in for both Wissa and Strand Larsen, which could be the conditions that are needed. I still think Isak to Liverpool is happening, in my personal and humble opinion. Before we can explore that story in the next fact or fiction question, but the next question is, okay, I'm going to put it up on the screen so everybody can see it because it's an important one based on what I've seen. But Isak and Wissa should be punished for going on strike. It's time for football to ban this behavior. That was a tweet that I read earlier on today.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, who has to start? You're directing it to somebody, or anybody can start.
Anyone, you can start. Go on, Andrew.
Yeah, I say football because I'll tell you why. Because this kind of behavior, I get that, like Eze is a good example. Like, yeah, he wanted to go. He made it clear that if he gets a good opportunity, he will go. And he was saying yes to Spurs. But at every point of time, he was available to the coach. He was available to his team. There's even reports that he wanted to play it was a conference league, I think. Yeah, he was even wanting to play that. So the point is that when you are currently in your current contract, you need to stay and play and be available. Let your agents sort out whatever you need. You've already made it clear. You be available. That is being professional. With the behavior of these guys, I'm just trying to think about it in any other working condition.
Yeah,
like take all of us, like you said, we're working class. We can't just go on a strike because we don't want to work anymore in this place.
But you can in England. You can in England. It's not
every year.
In England, you may lose pay, right? That is part of it. But you can, with the right ground, you can go on strike. It's something we fought hundreds of years for.
That's a strike. Yes. I get that. But with anything, like for example, I want to change. I've made it very clear to my employer I want to change. I still have to serve something called a notice period to say, hey, I have to work for 1 month minimum because that's what my contract says before I can move. I can't just up and disappear. Otherwise, like you said, I lose pay. But this kind of behavior, what it does for me, especially because it's a sport, like the one thing that we teach kids like from younger is to say, like, you play sport because it helps build character. This kind of thing always shows a little bit like not such a good side of somebody's character. I get he wants to play. I get somebody gave him the short end of the stick from the management side. I think you were saying that Newcastle's director moved and that's why they can't keep the promise. Harry Kane had this the whole time in his career before he could actually move to Bayern. So I think that for me, it's football because you should ban this kind of behavior, or they must be punished in a certain way to say, hey, if you don't want to play, you make it clear, but this is going to be repercussions for you. But you can't behave like a kid, like this is just a very childish behavior.
What are you saying, Giuseppe?
I think they should be punished because I just look at it like you got to look at the bigger picture, and I get it from their side. Like, but if you got children, Terry, you got multiple children. If you let your daughter get away with something, and you don't punish her for it, and your son now sees that, he's going to think, I can do that, and I won't get punished for doing that. So now you're opening a can of worms up for anyone to start doing anything, and I ain't going to be punished for that. Furthermore, you made the deal. Like no one put a gun to Isak's head and said, sign this contract with this, and this. That's your agent's fault that you didn't put yourself an escape route out or a buyout clause. This is what players need to learn for the future. Put release clauses into your contracts. Don't forget it. It's not even a thing like a disrespect to the club when you join them. You add it in. Don't then cry. I get the handshake agreement thing. I get it. That's slimy from Newcastle. No one's saying Newcastle haven't been slimy, but at the same time, Newcastle are paying you. You signed the contract to Newcastle. So really, legally, they don't need to do anything that they've said to you just on a handshake agreement. So that's why I think they should be punished. I think that it should, like, I don't know what punishment, maybe just to pay, maybe just fines or stuff like that. But for me, you can't be doing what they're doing and being really like, because it just doesn't look professional at all. And I know these are humans and I know they're just guys and stuff like us lot, but I've always been someone that when it comes to work, I'll always be professional, right? So I feel like they should be doing the same thing. And if they don't do that, it's just, once again, opening up a can of worms. If Newcastle just let him get away with everything now, all these other players are going to just do it when they want to leave, because they're like, if we just kick up enough stink, I
agree. Can I throw in a caveat? And maybe other people don't think it should be. They think this is fiction. They shouldn't be in trouble. I get your point about employment. They're not like normal employees though. In this, they're more like contractors, because they're not. When you take a job, your job, Giuseppe, you have a contract and it's open ended. There's no valid time period to it. Where a contractor in the UK, if you take a job working at a bank, you might get a 6-month, 12-month, 2-year contract. Often you're not covered by the same employment laws. And that's where like this becomes difficult, because not every job, not every contract has the same rules and stipulations. A lot of those contractors can also leave whenever they want to. So there are multiples to this. But put all that aside, why is a player in football, so we keep it to football, why is a player on football going on strike and saying, I don't want to play for you anymore, sell me, different to, for instance, Man United saying to Rasmus, you are not going to kick a ball unless you leave this summer. We're going to stick you in the stands. Why is the behavior from the club acceptable when there's a contract, but not the players to do the exact same thing?
That's why I think it's fiction.
No, but go on. I was just going to say, because people pick and choose when they want something to work in their favor. If they like someone, then it's all Isak. If they don't like, for example, everyone that's agreeing with Isak, I want to see your response if your star player does that. I want to know what you feel, bro. If Caicedo starts going, I'm not paying for Chelsea ever again.
But we've had that before. We've had that before.
Yeah, and
we've had players.
I'm not saying you personally, but a lot of Chelsea players probably slagged him off and said he shouldn't be doing that. So it's all well and good. The same with what Terry said when it's Man United. It's because it's Manchester United. It's because it's Manchester United. It's like when a player leaves, they're a scumbag on a free. But if a club, it works vice versa. If a club then wants to get rid of a player, then the club ain't scummy for doing that.
But I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. I think that what you were saying, Terry, if Man United do that, I think that Man United's in the wrong. So for me, I will say football on that as well, to say, hey, you can't do that to a player, because if you have a contract and an agreement and the player is willing to play, unless he's like terribly bad and you can see that he's ruining the entire.
Then you must hate Clear Lake, because that's literally what your club has done to how many players. And this is my point, right? So I agree with Giuseppe. I think we are all really biased when we want to enforce it and when we don't. And I used to be like that. Now I hate players doing it. And then I realized, well, but I support it when my club behaves that way. Quez, what were you going to say on this? Because a lot of people online, again, I will say that it's being pushed by a lot of Liverpool's rivals and a lot of Newcastle fans at the minute, understandably. But they're sort of talking about players should be punished and the union should call them out and this type of behavior shouldn't happen. You disagree with that? You think that's fiction?
I think it's fiction. I think it would be good for the footballing union to like call them out on it, because I do think you want to encourage players to maintain their professionalism, yes, but you don't want to enforce professionalism. Like, the good thing about people being professional is that when you have people be professional, you know who to elevate, you know who to be loyal to, you know who to push right through. So in a couple of years, if Gordon's still there and doesn't try and force through a move, and he ends up helping Newcastle win a couple more trophies, you know that's the time to then go and celebrate him more so than you celebrated Isak. But I don't think we can start saying, oh, we need to force them to not be able to strike. Like, at the end of the day, they write contracts. And as you say, like, they have opportunities to write in, I can leave on this condition. I don't leave on this condition. If you strike, you know it's your career on the line. And that just has to be the message. When you then go and you talk to these academy boys or you talk to your kids growing up, it's your responsibility as a parent to go, that's bad behavior. You try and make it policy. I just think all you start doing is you actually force people to condition their behavior, and you don't actually change people's hearts. And I know that sounds crazy ethical, and I'm not trying to make it like all philosophical, but you don't want to enforce that. You want people to choose that.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Sorry, go on, Kunle.
No, I hear you, but the issue I have is that because we're in 2025 and we're still having players surprised that handshakes don't go through. Like, how many examples
that's crazy.
do we need for you to be like, oh, this ain't the mafia, bro? This is freaking football. Contracts are involved here. I don't know how many owners have showed them that. When did we say that? How many times that need to happen? So this is why I think it's football that they should be punished, because maybe, just maybe, they might start thinking, I know this guy did the handshake thing, but let me get that in writing, bruv. Do you get what I'm saying?
But I think that's something.
But Gyökeres went through that. Gyökeres had it in writing, and they still went, "Fuck you."
This is what I mean.
No, but that's why I think the agents. I think the agents need to take responsibility here, Terry, and that's why I said you still show up and you still play, because your agent needs to sort this out, because he's the one who's reviewing your contracts. He's the one who's looking at discussing this with the club. It's the footballers. They won't know head or tail about what's happening here in the fine details. It's the agent that needs to sort this out. And I still think the thing that you mentioned about Clear Lake, I'm not happy when you tell players to leave. Like when Gallagher was forced out, all of those things, it made me really mad. Even when Mount went, when Mount went, I was really sad. When Havertz went, I was really sad, because these guys are like, they came and they won something for us. But if they're gone, they're gone. Like,
I really see it the other way. Maybe it was myself growing up in the sport that I did, and you have people in the gyms. And there's only certain. I wasn't one of the elite fighters. When I got to be an adult, I was still in the gym. I sparred, I trained, I competed. But there was guys in my gym that had genuine ability to go on and be some of the best kickboxers in the world. One of them is Michael Venom Page, who beat Cannonier at the weekend. But there was a ruthlessness. They were loyal to people. But if somebody's standards started dropping, if there was a chance of bringing in a better prospect who had a better opportunity, that would happen. But the reason why no one cried about it is because it worked in reverse. If somebody had an opportunity to, I can go and train with this gym in America, or there's this coach that really wants me, and he's got a great connection with these promoters and gets you onto these fights and earns you money, people would leave. So maybe it's because I grew up in that environment and I was around that kind of ruthlessness in the gyms growing up, that I just look at it as all's kind of fair in love and war. Because for me, if we have to force out Rasmus to improve our strike force, I'm really okay with that. Equally, I can't be a butcher and a vegan at the same time. So I can't advocate for that behavior that my club does it. And that's all I don't think you're wrong for saying that, Andrew, but you have to keep the same energy in every direction. I don't like it when people go boo on the players, but my club's behavior is brilliant. I look at it and just think that's the hypocritical part for me.
I agree with you.
Was there actually handshake agreements with Isak on leaving the club?
No one quite knows yet. The one thing that has been confirmed even by Newcastle sources, there was a promise of talking about improved terms, and supposedly they haven't happened. So we'll see. Let's do some of these super chats here, and then I want to ask Kate a question on this. To me, every contract should have a release clause in it to stop players going AWOL, the way both parties get what they want. But true, but they've got to be responsible. I mean, some of the ones that are in La Liga, like people have like, who is it that's got like $1 billion buyout clause at Yamal? I mean, it's crazy.
It's those two young guys, Gavi and somebody. Gavi and
yeah. I hear that. It depends. Workers' rights. You're gonna turn us into slaves and chefs bowing down to the billionaires. It's a job like any other. That is why people get paid below. But it's also true. This is where I agree with you. Someone who's part of Unite Union when I worked at the bank. There are lots of things that you've got a contract to work there, but there are loads of things you might ask for. The bank would promise it. Sometimes it was in email form, so there was a paper trail, but often it was, we're going to do this. You get 6 months in, you're like, well, this hasn't happened yet. There's always the risk of strikes. So this is one thing I'd say about being in England. I can't speak for other countries because I don't know your history, But we have it can be annoying if it's a train, right? It can be annoying on the day, but we have a long and proud history of workers having the ability and the rights to strike. I'm not in favor of shutting that down in any capacity. My grandfather would turn over in his grave if he heard me. I just can't. I can't do it.
I hear you. It's in the fabric of being British, isn't it?
It is. Again, if you're from a working class background, like people don't realize what my grandfather's generation, the generation before it went through, the lack of rights they had. And yeah, I do get what everyone says, get it in writing, get it on paper, get it in a contract. That isn't always possible. If you think about your own lives and your bosses or people you've worked for and they promise you things, there is a moral obligation to stick to these things. And I do understand it. Yeah,
but I will go end of the year, Terry.
You need to. I do still think you should be punished, though. I don't think it should be banned. Here's what I'm saying.
The clubs don't pay
okay,
you.
I get
Is that
that.
punishment enough?
Like that.
The clubs don't pay you to strike. Yeah.
For example,
and some community.
But that's the thing.
Because
They were
that just
saying to
stops
ban the behavior.
for me,
Giuseppe was saying to ban the behavior, not the
community
player.
service.
No, listen. You should never be able to ban someone striking. It should just be that. There's consequences for it.
This comment here says, Terry, these are millionaires. Yeah, but this is where you're missing the point because you're looking at Isak. If you start banning professional footballers at the Premier League, what about the pros at League One, League Two, semi-pro that are not millionaires? Because I'm telling you, those millionaire and billionaire owners of their clubs would also love to stop it because then they could do whatever they wanted and you guys play or you don't get any money. So that you've got to think about the wider implications of these things we suggest, I feel. On the transfer news, Kate, Larsen and Wissa, is that good enough for Newcastle?
They're a bit like us at the minute. They've got to take what they can get. Look, I'd take Wissa at Spurs all day long, to be perfectly honest with you. So, yeah, I think so. I think, excuse me, I think in an ideal world, you'd like to think that they get punished because right is right and wrong is wrong at the end of the day. But football isn't an ideal world, and we see it every day. Player power is just becoming stronger and stronger. And I think ever since agents have become involved, the game's gone to shit, really, if you want to know the truth. There's so much money involved. I mean, the agent that sorted out Gareth Bale's transfer earned more than Gareth Bale himself for that transfer. And that is just outrageous. So, look, no one wants an unhappy player in the dressing room. I read that already at Newcastle, there's a massive split in the dressing room where half of the players are backing Isak and half aren't. So, you know, you don't want that kind of crap going into a new season. So players near enough always win. So I expect both of them to move. I just don't know how you punish them, really, because they've got loads of money and you don't pay them and they go, okay. You can't. Newcastle can't afford to sit in reserves, can they?
Send them into the community to them.
You might have a point with that, you know. You might have a point.
Hey, see Isak in the burger stand outside.
Hey,
yeah, outside selling burgers. Can you imagine? Until he doesn't get a lunch break and he goes on strike. That's what'll happen. So, but remember what you asked about. I mean, it leads us into the next fictional football question, and it's quite topical. And it's this one just here. The Eze and Šeško deals have exposed football's hierarchy, and clubs like Newcastle and Tottenham should know their place. What are you saying to that one? I'm going to go to Kunle first.
This is a Kate topic, but no problem. I'll take it for you, Kate. No worries. Well, it's clear to see. It's clear to see that there's a football hierarchy. No matter how much Newcastle said they were the richest club in the world, and now they're Champions League, things are going to change. We've won a trophy, all this, that, and whatever. The reality is you're still little, man, and that's the reality. It might hurt, but telling me that Newcastle are telling me they're a big club, and the signings they made that they're getting excited about Strand Larsen, Langa, and who's the other guy? Wissa. That's what your big club is going into the Champions League with.
While
what are we doing it?
While losing Isak.
Like literally, I'm not gonna lie. Their project needs them to keep Isak. I'm not gonna lie to you. It needs them because for the players that are already there, they need to know, we can't just jump ship anyhow, number one.
Yeah.
And there needs to be some sort of fallback for all these rejections. Even like Renford rejects, bro. Reject left, right, and center. Strand Larsen said no Newcastle fan ever when this transfer window was open. But they're going to try and flip a way to get excited about it. Even with Wissa, Strand Larsen, I don't even know how that looks. It looks crazy. But I'm going to ask you a question. Out of Elanga and Madueke, who's better?
Elanga.
I think
it's debatable. Personally, I think they're both average.
They're not even close, even in numbers.
I'm not really a numbers guy, but when I watch the game, I think they're much of a muchness. They're the same. It's the same reason why I don't even want Madueke, because I think him and Martinelli is the same. It's a situation. But Spurs, know your role. Know your role. Spurs, you see Spurs, they remind me of, that one brethren that you had. He's not used to getting a looker. A nice looking girl. So before they've linked her, they're showing all the boys, hey, look at this thing I got, boys. Man, she's wild. She's coming over later. And he should have held back, because later they get that message. Do you know what? I'm kind of busy. And then Tottenham keep phoning. Even though she said she's busy, they keep phoning to the point where the other brother picks up the phone like, big man, she's busy, innit? That's how Tottenham are in the transfer window, and that's how Newcastle are moving in the transfer windows.
I agree. You know why as well? That it's a fact, because the problem is, I'm not saying Kate's one of these, but a lot of Spurs fans got deluded, like they haven't won a trophy in so long that they thought that winning a trophy does so much more for the club than it actually does. Of course, it's great. We all want to win trophies, but winning one Europa League does not level you up. It doesn't make it. This is why deep down, I was more happy with Spurs winning the Europa League than Manchester United. Because if look what Manchester United have done without Champions League football. Now, if they were in Champions League football, they would have been able to maybe get a Gyökeres instead of us, because they're Manchester United. Spurs have now learned who they are, and they're not. And North London is not white; it's red, and it always will be. For the longest time, it will always be red, because at the end of the day, it took us 5 minutes to take him from Spurs. And I know, listen, there is the whole fact that he's an Arsenal fan, and that I'm not going to be deluded and saying we'd be able to do that exact move for any player, because sometimes if you've done the groundwork and all that. But I think on a lot of players, if we're going head to head and we're both paying the same money, etc., we're getting them over you. I cannot really see a player that chooses you over us, really chooses Spurs up. And it's the same with like Newcastle and other big teams, and we've seen it this season with Manchester United. Manchester United finished 15th, and I think they're the best team to look at and use in this argument, because they finished 15th, no trophies, look absolutely washed. And they're signing all the players Newcastle should have signed. Mbeumo. Cunha. These are the players Newcastle and Spurs should have been signing. But Manchester United finishing 15th with no trophies, no nothing, have signed these players over them teams.
Let's go asking, where's Tyneside?
Kate,
Where is
let me get a Kate next. Do you feel like you should just, as a Spurs fan, know your place?
First of all, this is why before I was married, I used to like dating Arsenal fans, because you was always guaranteed to come second. So I will say that. What I will say is, just drop the mic there.
That's why my missus likes me so much.
Terry, don't laugh like that, because it makes me laugh.
That was out of pocket, kid. That was out of pocket. That was just...
What I will say is, I've always said, I know where Tottenham are. We're not considered the top 4 team. For a lot of people, we're not considered the top 6 team. We are the team now that waits to see what Chelsea does, what Liverpool does, what Arsenal does, what even Man United do. We get the scraps. That's what's left. I was under no illusion that if Eze had a choice, he was always going to pick Arsenal. So the only way you get to that point where you go, right, Tottenham, are going to be up there and going to be one of the first choices, is consistently sort of, I was going to say winning, but Arsenal don't do that, but consistently challenging for the league, consistently investing in your team, so that you're consistently up there as one of the top teams. And at the minute, Spurs are never, I don't think Spurs will ever do that while Daniel Levy is the manager, the chairman of our club, because he doesn't put the money in. But I completely agree. I think it's football, absolutely. There is a food chain. It's snobby and it sounds wrong, but it's just a fact of life. We don't get to pick the cream of the crop. We get what's left. And then after our level's finished, the next level down gets their choice. It's like when we went in for Kudus, it was always going to come to us over West Ham. But if Arsenal came in for Kudus at the same time as us, he probably would have gone Arsenal. I'm not an idiot. I see how it works. It's not great, but that's just how it is. I said before I married Jimbo, don't you bring my poor Jimbo into it.
Hey, Kate, you held it down. I can't lie. Man. Do you know what, though? I would say for play, this is just a different perspective on it, yeah? So I'm going to say fiction based on this perspective. I think sometimes it's about margins and optics. So when I look at this Eze deal, I know it's the hope that's killing Spurs fans. If you got it across the line, it's one of the best players in the Prem, and therefore it's an amazing deal. And then it losing out on him, and based on who you're losing out on him to, it hurts twice as bad. But as you said, Kate, to be fair, you look at Eze's history, he started at Arsenal. It's a full circle moment for him. And also he's going into a team with Saka, Rice. These are England players, Madueke. So he's actually going into an environment where he sort of knows a lot of the people he's actually going to work with as well, which I do think sometimes is a factor. Like, you want to go into a footballing environment where you know you're going to be comfy. And at Arsenal, he probably knows he's going to be a little bit more comfy than at Spurs. Because at Spurs, you're probably going to have to work twice as hard, just based on where they're at right now. He's probably going to have to work twice as hard to get half the plaudits. Spurs will back him, but the league might not, and there's every chance that he can fall off. So I'm just saying optics wise, because I also think with the Newcastle thing, the interesting thing is, had they finished fourth last year and they don't have Eddie Howe, but let's say they've got, I don't know, let's say they had the PSG manager, you're maybe looking at a slightly different pool there. So I just think from that perspective, in terms of like playing devil's advocate, I do think there's some optics that go, am I kind of surprised that Delap went to Chelsea? No, he's worked with Maresca. Am I surprised João Pedro turned Newcastle down? I mean, no, not really. Like, he's got the chance to go in as a number one striker at Chelsea. He's not got the chance to do that if Isak stays at Newcastle. So then there's a couple of these deals.
Is that what you think the reasons that swayed him are, though? I hear what you're saying now to be devil's advocate, but
yeah,
I do think
let's be
real. You and Chelsea, you and Newcastle going for a player, you guys are winning every time.
And I don't even want to bring Chelsea up, but I'm just saying, up until that deal went through, I thought Newcastle were getting him, because I thought, yeah, that makes sense as the next step up from Brighton. I'll be honest, Champions League
because
football,
you didn't make a bid yet.
I did. Well, maybe.
Exactly.
But what I'm saying is,
exactly.
To be honest, I was surprised. But I think my point is just this, that I actually do think there's just maybe a couple different things that swayed a few of these deals. Like, I know you were saying earlier, like, Isak money is spending that money on Larsen and all these guys. Not actually, they've replaced, I think, quite well. Larsen's been doing his thing like past 2 years. Elanga's an up-and-coming winger that's doing his thing. And then you put one or two more players in there, and Newcastle look good. I'm just saying.
Okay, I'll ask you this question. I'll ask you this question because of what you've just said.
Yeah,
you're the richest club in the world. You've just got into the Champions League. You're trying to sell this project to other people.
Yeah.
Are the signings you're looking at Elanga, Wissa, and Strand Larsen? Like, let's keep this 100. Like, do you hear the players that we're calling?
Yeah, I get you, but I think again they
Cunha, and
but that's not what they aim for, though, is it? That's not what this is the thing. It's not what they aim for. I'd love to get Andrew's take. I don't agree. Like know your place and shut up and sit down like a good kid. That's the banter element of it. I think there is some truth to it from the perspective of go for players you know you can get. For instance, Man United. I know we're Man United, and it's a little bit easier for us, but we didn't. We made sure that there's no bid. We really did a good job of controlling the media narrative this year. We ain't even going in for a player until they commit to us. I can still take the fact that the Laps and Gyökeres rejected us because I've got thick skin. I don't cry about it. But if you're going to go down to did we put a bid in? Did we actually make an official offer to the player? No, because a player didn't give us that okay prior. I think Newcastle and potentially Spurs should have done a better job of that this summer. Like, are you chasing a player that you can actually get that actually wants you more than others? And the Eze deal, you had it tied up. You should have got it done in the sense of maybe set a deadline with Eze and said, listen, we're not going to let you drag it on for 3 or 4 days for not Arsenal or someone else to come in. what Arsenal did was brilliant. He's not playing tonight now. You guys were going to let him play. It should be, do you know what? We'll lessen the payment terms by a year so you get the money quicker, but we do not want him playing in the next game. We want him off that pitch. The player's got to decide by 2 p.m. tomorrow whether or not he signs for us. If he doesn't, we'll move on. Because at least then if you pivot away, you've controlled the situation. Yeah. The way you did it is it's like you're waiting for the girl to turn up for the date. She's promised you the date. You're sitting there, you're waiting. And then you see her drive past in another man's car, but you told her your boys you're going out with her. If you'd have set an actual deadline and been like, and done it right, you could have. I think it's about saving yourselves the public embarrassment as much as, like, more so than knowing you can't land good players, because you do sign good players. Mohamed Kudus is one of them.
Henry, I said to you last night when I came on the show after it was announced, Arsenal will not allow Eze to play tomorrow night. There was no way. A big club does not allow your player to then play. I mean, what if he gets injured? You know, it was Tottenham just haven't got a clue how to finish a deal.
Are you
implying? You know what it is with Tottenham as well? The problem was, like, not even in an actual disrespectful way, but like, I'd argue that Eze would have probably been your best signing in Premier League history.
Yeah. I said the most influential signing in at least 10 years.
So I think
probably since Klinsmann, maybe.
Yeah, I would say so.
These young pups don't remember that, though, do they? They weren't around.
Modric?
Modric?
No, not when they signed
him.
him.
Was young, not when he signed him.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Not when they. So obviously they've had players better, but like, I mean, signing them at the level that they. So
speaking of players, changing the subject massively, how good is Angelo Stella?
Who?
No one heard of him. All right, we'll move on then.
Brother,
I don't know.
So what? Ben Stiller's not a youth that plays for Tottenham.
He's just been Stiller. Sorry, he's German. Plays for Stuttgart. He's just been quite heavily linked to Man United by Sam Reports and Ben Jacobs. I
thought Terry was trying to.
One day
you know what?
No, he does exist.
You know what he done there? He said, "Yo, I'm talking to this girl." You know,
it with how good is. You didn't just say, "What do you guys think about?"
Yeah. But Terry, I live in Stuttgart and I follow some of the games and I don't recall his name.
Okay. I recognize him more than I know about his play, because he's a young lad with the cleft palate. Is that still a word you can use? Can you say that?
Yeah.
Is that banned now?
I
don't know. Yeah, but there are old medical terms you also can't say anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's
for real.
Listen, we ban words over here. We're trying to ban strikes. We're trying to ban tweets. Trying to ban everything.
Trying to ban punditry.
Ban punditry, yeah. It's like 1939.
Trying to ban Chelsea for buying players also.
What did my grandparents fight for? I don't know. We're losing it. The game's gone. Let's do some of these super chats here. Isak saga, too long. Sorry, we've done that super chat. Sorry. Stop this Isak bullshit. Newcastle United unsettled their players by touting him out first. That was last summer. He is also the 5th best player, yet value him at 150 million. Behave.
Kunle, was that you? Did you send that in?
Is that your name? Is your name Ola Kunle?
No, it's Ayo Kunle.
Okay.
Big up Ola. Big up the Kunles in the chat.
Well, there we go.
All the Nigerians are assembling because they're all coming to the Emirates.
He's a Liverpool fan, but there we go. Sam here says, Terry, you have to read about the clause with Sir Jim Ratcliffe and the Glazers, with now potential for Ineos can buy. Look, Ineos can buy at any time if the Glazers want. What this clause is more about is a drag-along clause. This exists with a lot of businesses. It means that if someone tries to buy Man United and the Glazers accept in this period, but no one knows when it expires, Sir Jim and his team have no option but to sell as well. That being said, knowing the media that report on half things, I own a business that has a drag-along clause where one of my partners, because it's an estate agent, so he also owns a lot of other estate agents. Part of the deal was he owns a small bit, but he can force me into selling that business as part of the overall package of his own. However, there's a clause that comes before it in my contract, which means, let's say they're buying all these businesses for £5 million, and the percentage they're buying, like we're getting 500,000 of that is to buy our business. What I can then do is work out what his share of that 500,000 would be. I have then the right to buy him out first for that. So what we don't know is whether there is an additional clause before it. I forgot what they're called now because I'm not a lawyer, that allows them to go, okay, you've accepted a bid of 6 billion from this American or 7 billion from the Qataris. there may be a clause, and again, only a smart businessman like me would put this in. So I assume that Ineos with their lawyers would have put something like that in. So, but it doesn't mean too much at this moment in time, to be honest with you. There is no one that's currently bidding. There's no one that's made any attempt to. So it's not something I'm excited about or upset about. It's just, it's there, but no one's shown any interest as of yet. So there's not much to report on. Why haven't Spurs pivoted to Harvey Elliott?
Do you know what? I'm not believing anything or reading anything until the player is holding the shirt up. So I'm not going to comment.
Fair dues. Premier League needs to format similar to the NBA and NFL. If you don't perform, your contract is null and void. At any point, the club feels. But I don't think we can do that in in the UK and Europe. We have laws. I mean, in America, you could be late for work once and be sacked. Again, we are never going to be able to implement that in the UK, and we're never going to be able to implement that in Europe, in the EU. There are too many labor and employment laws. It would just be impossible to do.
Also, the NBA is horrible. People just wake up and realize they're getting traded and have to move halfway across the country. You don't want that.
My guy found out on a podcast. Oh yeah, I heard you're being traded. He's like, swear down.
That's nasty work.
Looked at his phone and saw he'd been traded.
This craziness. I promise is to comfort a fool, is what Wayne says here. I promise you, Wayne, you're lovely. I'm joking. You are. You're a nice bloke, Wayne. You're a nice bloke, Wayne. Young lead baller, Kieran White, unbelievable. I'll take a look. With this saga, I feel no young up-and-coming players will go near Newcastle. See, I don't go that far. I don't believe that. I think that's too far. To be fair. I know what people are saying, but I don't personally believe it. Next question I got for you. It is on Chelsea. Okay. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Get yourself subscribing to the show as well. But I'm going to put this up on the screen so you can all see it and you can all read it. Where is it? Here it is. Chelsea's signing of Enciso proves talent hoarding should be banned. It's anti-competition and bad for football. I'm going to go to Quest first on this.
Talent hoarding should be banned. Well, the first thing is I don't know how you're going to police it. That's the thing. And I don't know if you've seen the news from certain Twitter accounts in the Calia, but Liverpool are potentially in for Rodrygo. Now, if we're talking about talent hoarding, Wirtz, Isak, Ekitike, Rodrygo, there's hoarding. And also, I want to know what the context for hoarding is. Is it based on the quality of player, or is it based on as in what we? Because I want to know if Chelsea go and buy a bunch of £20 million players that are all play trash, are people going to say Chelsea are bad because they're hoarding players? Or were they just going to say we're hoarding players because they're good? And that's what I want to know.
So it's a great question. So if I go back to the tweet that the original person put out for this question, what they're essentially saying is, like, as you guys know, Strasbourg fans are protesting against Bluco because it does appear from the outside looking in, and for them, that they have no intention of trying to turn Strasbourg into the best team in France. They're a feeder club, a club that can buy players that you can then buy cheaper later, a way of you guys, because you can't loan out all your players anymore because there's FIFA rules against it. So you're making them buy them. They then keep them for a certain period. They are going to be sold at a certain period, but not all those profits and all those monies are going to Strasbourg as an example. What people are saying is that your multi-club system isn't about trying to make the best team in France, the best team in England, the best team in America, the best team in India, like Man City did. You're going to buy these clubs so you can hoard players, sell them at a profit, and it's potentially just Chelsea that are going to benefit from those profits. That's the accusation.
Okay.
Based on that accusation, should that be allowed in football is the question.
Then here's my answer to this, Sarah. And you make a great point. If we're banning player hoarding, I want every team that has a sister club to be shut down tonight. I want Girona shut down tonight. I want Liverpool's sister club shut down tonight. And I want Liverpool not to be able to buy Isak because clearly Newcastle is their feeder club. Same with Arsenal. Tottenham needs to be shut down tonight because clearly they're a feeder club. I want all clubs. Sorry, Kate. I needed to get one. I get one. No, look, I do think, it's a bit mad with the prices that they're selling at. I see it, and I do understand as a Strasbourg fan, I would feel a little bit aggrieved. But I also understand, like, this is a business, and at the end of the day, the game is the game. Like, if Real Madrid were doing this, we wouldn't say a word. We would not say a word. It's almost similar to, like, I know it's not similar, right? But in my mind, it works similarly when you're doing like buyback clauses. Like, you don't really want to sell the player, but you haven't got any more space. So you sell them onto a club and you put in a low buyback fee just in case he gets decent so you can buy him back cheaper later. It's like there's all these loopholes that exist. Chelsea have just found one and they're doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down. Listen, I would just say, don't hate the player, hate the game.
As you know, I hear it, and I'm glad that was your closing comment as well, because I can lead off that to the extent. Because on a previous stream, we were talking about if we were signing players for 80 to 90 million, then I'd understand what people are saying. But we're buying 30 million, 40 million. Like, the fact that you've got the money to do it, to kind of take the piss out of football. You have got the money to do it, and you're flexing. So whether you've signed 6 world-class players or 49 average players, you still spent the bread. And do you know what I'm saying? So I don't think, in terms of what the actual question is, I think fiction, because at the end of the day, a loophole is a loophole. But don't be talking about it on one side and then trying to play down your role when we're talking about the money you spent.
Can I retort?
Any club that spends 2 billion should be winning league titles and champions.
Okay, so can I retort?
No matter what they spend the money on, no matter
what.
Even if they spent $1 billion on a new state training ground, they should still win the league.
Oh, okay. So I'm actually glad you said that, because we just worked out earlier that Arteta spent $1 billion, so he should be winning the league. But let's move on from that really quickly. I just want to say
I've already said that, though. I've said that. You're not saying that. That's the difference. You're not saying that.
Just going back to the question, yeah.
No, you want all the praise, but none of the pressure.
That's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is this, though. I actually think people need to look past this and actually look at the truth here. And the truth is, Chelsea are good for football, right? We're not only buying players for us here. We are populating leagues. Go through all the 20 clubs in the Premier League. Each of them at least maybe 1 or 2 clubs bar has at least 1 or 2 Chelsea players in it. We're helping Arsenal. We helped out United last summer. That's why they're giving us a little deal this summer, whether people like it or not. We helped out Liverpool with a couple of players. Look at us sending Gahey there, because we know that it's better for the league and we want people to watch the Premier League. We're good for football, and that's what people need to just understand. It's complete fiction. Yeah, we're buying who we can buy because we got the money and we got the opportunity. And if everybody else had the money, they would do the same. I'm done.
You're doing the things that other clubs can't do. But you don't want the same pressures.
You lot got a bill. You lot got a bill. What are you spending it on?
I hear it.
Dinosaurus.
I'm just saying you want to get the big ups, but none of the pressure. That's what
I want to change the framing slightly of the question, because I want another end of it. Andrew, do you think it's right that Strasbourg fans do not feel like Blue Lake have bought them to make their club better? Like, would you be happy if you knew you had owners that were using you as essentially a proxy to make another club stronger? Do you think that element of the multi-club model is right?
No, I think it's not right. I don't think it's fair. And I think that if I was like a club like Brighton, for example, that's why I don't agree at that point with Kes. If we have to shut down all of these multi-club models, then we'll have to shut Brighton down, because then we won't get the players that we want, because they're a feeder club, right? So the thing is, I don't think it's fair, okay? Especially if you're bought by the same ownership, because I'm guessing, like, you know, Brighton is feeling that Newcastle to a certain extent must be feeling that as this moment. So I think it's not fair at all. But what I would like to say is that that when you have the option to sort of like build for the future, and I think that's what Chelsea is trying to do now. They want to be a strong team in the future, and that's why they're buying the way they're buying. What I didn't like and was confused about is this Enciso sort of signing. Is that it said that Blueco has signed this player and he's going to Strasbourg first, and it didn't say Chelsea signed it, or it didn't say Strasbourg signed it. So that was like this, you know, they're playing with the loophole.
Yeah.
And like you said, like, you're a smart businessman. If there's a loophole to do better business, you would do that. And I believe that these guys are
this is the way I look at it. Listen, by the way, I have no real issue with the way Chelsea is set up per se. I don't think that you can't have multi clubs. I don't think that buying your women's football team is inherently wrong. If it's not against the rules, I don't really have an issue with it. If they change the rules, then fair enough. My issue is sort of this, and this is where I want Chelsea fans to think outside of their own club. If you're a Strasbourg fan tonight, and someone said it's only the ultras that are moaning, but often it's the ultras that take the... Some people love their football club, but they turn up on a Saturday and watch a game, they go home. The ultras typically forget the chanting. These people are diehard. They live and breathe the club and everything that's going on. Let's just say they're going to get Enciso now. They're going to pick him up for like 15 million quid. Let's say he kills it there for 2 years. If Chelsea can get him for cheaper than other clubs would, it's not in Strasbourg's interest for him to go to Chelsea, because you're not going to make Chelsea pay top dollar. You're not going to get Chelsea into a bidding war with another club if he's killing it. And they're never going to get top dollar, or they're never going to be... What they really probably want Strasbourg with rich owners like Clearlake is, well, let's help us build ourselves up so we can one day compete with PSG, so we could win our league, rather than being a team that's going to have good players for a period who are either going to be sold for a profit that doesn't come to us or given to Chelsea if they're killing it. That's where I have... And I'm not saying it's happening as basic as that, so I'm not attacking Chelsea here. This is where I look at the governing bodies. And I've said it before, they shouldn't let certain owners in, and they have changed some rules. You can't buy a club now the way Man United were purchased on debt, as an example. But there should be there has to be better checks and balances here, because I don't think it's fair on Strasbourg, as an example. I get it for Chelsea's perspective, and I'm not saying it's against the rules, but I just think about it. If I was a fan of Strasbourg right now, what would be going through my mind? It can't be good.
No, but I agree, Chelsea. Terry, I agree that Chelsea is doing this. And what I would say is that, like, there are certain clubs where they are happy to progress at a certain pace. And I think how this benefits Strasbourg is that they'll always get a quality player that normally they wouldn't be able to attract and buy. And that's the whole point. Like, for example, Santos played really well last season for them, and he was really killing it. And they went up in the league. They, like, in the Ligue 1, they went up. And I'm sure that progression, or for some time they will stay there, but they will keep getting better and better, and they will progress. And there are some clubs in the Premier League who do that. Example, Arsenal. They will stay second. They will stay in the top 4. They might not win anything, but their fans will still be happy that they're there. They will come gassed every season. And that's okay. Like, that's normal for that to happen. But I'm saying that for Strasbourg to sort of get the kind of talent that they're getting today, it is because they are linked with a club like Chelsea.
True, but,
otherwise that won't happen.
But
so
that's talent. How long is that talent going to stay? And if it's sold, who's making the money out of it?
No, but the thing is, even if it's for 1 year, it benefits the club. So I get your point. I'm not disagreeing with your point that if I'm a Strasbourg fan, I will be frustrated. But if I look at this not so cynically, but to like look at it like practically, to say, okay, would I have ever got a player like Andre Santos? Would I have ever got him? Maybe not, but I got him for 1 year. He's lifted the level of the club. Maybe 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, my club looks more attractive to players and they would directly want to join Strasbourg. It doesn't have to be that I'm linked with Chelsea anymore because I'm finishing top 4 in the Ligue 1. I'm close to like competing and playing in other competitions. Maybe that looks better for them, and maybe then they start to look attractive as a club. But as of right now, I don't think it's only a negative. What do you say? Like,
yeah,
or
I
a
don't think it's all negative. What do you make of this, Kate? What do you make of this whole? Go on.
I think it's football. I think it's outrageous. I think Chelsea are stockpiling and hoarding all these players with no indication of how they're going to fit into their team. I think multi-club ownership could be banned. Should be banned. I think it's another form of cheating. You can call it loopholes as much as you want. Man City called it loopholes when they cheated as well. It's just another word for it. I mean, Chelsea have got, is it Paez, Esteval, and now they're buying this new guy in Enciso, or Cisco, however you say it, all looking future superstars without any shadow of a doubt. But there's no indication at all of where they're going to fit into Chelsea's squad in the future. Chelsea basically buy these players to stop anyone else buying them.
You think about why the player's signing for this. Like, okay, so the player must have some sort of vision for his career, right? So whatever they're telling these players, whatever they're presenting to them, it looks lucrative for them. Because even Carragher keeps saying that, oh, like, wow, how are players going to Chelsea? Why are players signing for Chelsea? But if these guys are signing, if he's saying that, okay, I'm signing for Chelsea, but I'm going to Strasbourg, why. We have to like take a step back to ask, why are they doing that? Is there something that is being promised and being given in writing to them?
Well, a
Is
year
that why
later,
they're going here?
This new guy is going to Strasbourg for a year, and then he's coming back to Chelsea.
Yeah, so he's getting that, and that seems lucrative for him. That seems better for him to be there playing regularly than if he's in Brighton and he's not starting or he's not playing regularly.
It's good for the player, but from again, I'm just asking from the perspective. Again, I think there are elements to it that are really good. You know, you took a team that were in relegation. They came 7th last year. You've improved. I'm not saying every element of this is bad. I'm just looking at it from the perspective of, and maybe I'm looking at it from my own point of view. Is there a situation where Strasbourg are going to get the same attention that Chelsea do? Maybe that, again, if they're going to change the rule in football over ownership, maybe it should be that if you own a football club, you know, you've got to give the same attention, energy, time, money to each of them if you own multiple, rather than one of them being the pinnacle. Because at the end of the day, like, I'm only thinking about the fans of those particular clubs rather than it being immoral. I think buying players to stop other people from buying them, that's just a strategy. I don't personally have a problem with
smart
that.
business. I think it's smart business.
Yeah. I think that bit's smart. My view is just you buy a club that's got 30,000 fans, but there's never any that you're never going to treat them as well as you treat Chelsea. It's in terms of they're not the apple of your eye. Are they going to feel like the runt of the litter? Is that fair on those fans of that club? That's my only real question for
it. But like the thing is, like, I know you're looking at it like they're the middle child of the family. So like, but the problem is here, Terry, is that for now, these Strasbourg fans will not complain because of what you just said. They were like in the relegation battle, they've moved to 7th. That is clear progression, like year by year. So next season, if they stay there or if they go up a little bit, they're not going to complain. When they will start to complain is when the team drops off, when they see that they're not in the competitions that they're in, when they're not able to have the performances, have players routinely coming in. I think then fair enough, they will ask that. The people that today will be complaining are the ultras, like you said. And again, I'm making all these points as a fan. If just to answer your question, as a fan of that football club, if I'm a feeder football club, I will not be happy. I will be unhappy to know that.
And I understand that. I understand that. Gav here says that Red Bull have a multi-club model to the extreme. They have one club in the group. It's not fair. It's not fair to all the feeder clubs, but we are not the pioneer. No, you're not the pioneer. But what I would say about, again, this is about a conversation. I don't know it all, and that's why we're having it. But they're 37 years old, Red Bull Salzburg in Austria. Okay, so you've got to factor this in. They're 37 years old as a club, and they've won their league title 17 times. They've won their domestic cup trophy 9 times. So you think about the fact that Man United and Liverpool both have 20 league titles each in 130 odd years. In 37 years, they've got 17 league titles. RB Leipzig are probably the apple of the eye in some degree, but I'd have to look at the other RB groups, but all of their teams have dominated or grown in all their respective leagues. So where I don't think it's wrong, if they're going, look, there's as much money as we can pump into Strasbourg based on the size of the league. There's not enough, as much as we can do for Chelsea, as much as we can do for this club and what other clubs in what leagues you have. If they're all growing based on their own league, and by the way, it's a lot harder for Leipzig to dominate Germany because of the stranglehold the Bayern Munichs and the Dortmunds already have than it maybe is for somewhere like Austria, where you can suddenly have more money than everybody else. That makes it easier. But all those teams, yes, they work in unison, and I don't think there's a problem with that. I don't think there's a problem with Strasbourg and Chelsea working together, as long as there is a direct initiative to try and make Strasbourg the best possible team in France, because I'm talking about how the fans feel about their club, as opposed to, and also the RB Leipzig thing's a little different as well, because they didn't buy I don't know all the rules here, but they started their clubs essentially. I don't know how many they actually bought that already had a big fan base that expects something, and then you're going, actually, guys, you're never going to be the best. You're just going to be here to feed. Is there a difference in that? But I hear your point there, Gav. The case is Strasbourg close to relegation and financial turmoil, a few points away from the Champions League even. You didn't mention that, though, Tel. I wonder how Nice fans feel. But again, I'm talking about what the fans are saying. They're protesting it. So I'm talking about what fans are saying and doing. Yes, you've saved them from that. And I literally have mentioned a few minutes ago that they came 7th. I did literally mention it to Kay. Maybe you haven't got to that point yet in the show. And they have done that. And I think there's some, I haven't said this is all bad from top to bottom. It's not been said once. But I think that the fans have to be listened to here, because we would all agree on this. Chelsea's your club, right, boys?
Yep.
Strasbourg is their club. And what I will say to Chelsea fans is, I don't think you or anybody has any right to tell any other fan base how they should feel about their club. I don't care if you've got the same owners. There is this element of it's still their club, and lots of them are not happy with it. So there needs to be a conversation around it at the very least, I think. But that's just my view, my opinion. Let us know what you think and feel in the comment section below, people. Can't wait to hear your opinions on that. Some breaking news that's just come through. You're going to love this. This is going to be amazing. You're going to love this, Kate. Manchester United have been made aware that Tottenham have the potential of entering the race to sign Alejandro Garnacho.
I'll take him all day long. I like him.
I thought you'd be happy with that one.
Yeah. I know you're taking the piss, but I actually really like him.
No, I think he's a good player.
No, you don't, Terry. Don't lie. Look at your face.
No, I've said it about every stream. I've said it on every stream. I think he's a good player.
Are you winding me up?
No.
You're such a liar. Look at his face.
Chris has been on the shows with me. I've said it.
I'm not coming
He
on
has
this
consistently
show no
said that, to be fair.
I'm not coming on this show
I'm still not sure I believe him, but he has said that consistently.
I said it. I think
he's used the wrong way at Manchester United, but he won't come to us because Chelsea probably are going to go in for him, and we won't get him. But I'm not coming on here no more because I can't read you anymore, Terry. I don't know if you're taking the piss out of me or not. I'm very fragile.
He has always said, to be fair, he's always said that he thinks he'll go to a different club and they'll coach him correctly and he'll be all right. So I'll give you that. Terry. I'll give you that.
I've said all window I'd take Garnacho, so I don't care. I'll take him.
Player. That's cool. We've got another fact or fiction here, and it's based on those players. But Man United should bow down and give Sancho and Garnacho exactly what they want this summer.
Oh man, that's tough. That's tough. This one almost feels like a trap, right? Because this feels like if you say United should give Sancho and Garnacho what they want, then you've got to hold that same energy for like Newcastle should give Isak what he wants. And I know, obviously, like I'm not digging out Liverpool fans because I know what they're feeling, but I remember this happening with Suarez, and I remember he threw a fit and started biting people. And it happens at clubs. It happened to us at Chelsea, where I think it was Malouda did it. Like he went on strike. He didn't want to move. He went on strike. Should they give him what he wants? I mean, give them what they want. I think in the interest of getting them off the books, yes. But if you think from a business perspective, you just, there's no way United are going to do that. We're not just going to let you go for the cheap or money you want. Like we've got you under contract. You're going to have to honor it. So I'm going to say fiction because it's just not how football works. And actually, when people were saying earlier about striking, I actually think Garnacho and Sancho, you are within your right to strike. But if you don't ban striking, then you allow clubs to go, we're not going to give them what they want. If you ban striking, then you almost have to encourage clubs to say, listen, they didn't strike. So you've got to give them what they want now because they've done you a solid. So do them a solid. So I'm gonna say fiction because I think that's just crazy work. Like that is player power. Striking is not player power. Striking is the only human right you have left when you're under contract. Giving them what they want is too much player power, far too much.
Can I just ask, what is it Sancho wants? Because from what I can see, all he wants is to just sit on his arse and get paid by United.
He wants a PlayStation.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, look, when I say, I mean, context of the person's tweet, I'm not too sure, but I think what I think the person is alluding to is just bow down and let Chelsea have Garnacho at 25 million to speed it up so he gets what he wants. Just turn around and say, instead of selling the player for 15, 20 million, just say we'll do it for 7, and then you can take that extra money and pay him the additional wages that he wants. So it's essentially Man United lose money so the players get what they want. A lot of people are advocating that United should just bend over and take it.
Well, I'd happily let Spurs do that with a lot of our shit, to be fair, just to get them out of the club and off the wage bill. And Sancho's earning like 300 grand a week. So I can't see any club on this planet taking him and paying him that amount of money. And why the hell is he going to turn around and go, oh, but that's all right, United, don't worry, I'll take £100,000 a week wage cut, when he can sit on his arse for the rest of his contract? So, look, Man United have got to make that decision, but I don't see... I think he's got all the cards. I don't see how United get out of this one. We had this with Ndombele. He was absolutely dog shit, but we had to literally wait until his contract ran out because he wouldn't do anything. He wouldn't move, and he's just earning money for doing nothing. So I think Man United either are going to have to buy him out of his contract or just suffer it until he goes.
No, but I'm really glad that we got him out because Sancho, like, he was playing, he scored some important goals for us, but like as like a sportsman, his behavior right now, he's rejecting, like, even if the clubs are coming to agreements, he's rejecting the offers, which really starts to confuse you to think, okay, what kind of a person is he? What kind of a player is he? What does he really want? For me, Garnacho is a different case because he wants to play. They just don't want, Amaram doesn't want him to play. He's fallen out with them there. It's just that if he gets a chance, they're saying he wants Chelsea. I don't know how true that is, but I'm guessing that if he gets a good deal to go play somewhere, Garnacho will go and play for sure because he's the kind of player that wants to prove himself. He wants to be better. He wants to play in that Argentinian team. I don't think Sancho wants the same thing. I don't think Sancho wants to be in the England setup. I don't think he wants to like feature. He just, like Kate said, he just wants to sit on his ass and get paid till his contract runs out. So it is disappointing because I really like this guy in Dortmund. He was really doing some really good stuff. I don't know where it fell off, what happened to him, but yeah, you can clearly see that it's got to his head, and he's getting wrong advice from the people around him. That's the only thing I can think. Like his posse is not like good.
We shouldn't back down. And what I mean by shouldn't back down is I would rather, I don't want to lose money, but there is a lesson and a message to be sent to the other people for going, you know, we're not going to roll over and have you dictate to us. Even if it's a decision that hurts you more financially, there is some strength in it sometimes of saying, well, we're just not, you ever done this with your kids, Kate, where you're like, do you know what? I know we bought the tickets for the show. We bought the tickets for this, but you've been so naughty. We are just not going. The money gets wasted, but you make a point of, we are just not going. I worked in a company once where some of the staff took the piss and they ended up cancelling the Christmas party. And I was in middle management at the time. And I said, you guys going to lose all the money. They went, basically, we've lost the deposit. We've still got to pay the caterers. The party cost 25 grand. They still have to pay for most of it. But they made this point of, but we're not going to let the staff have it because too many of them were taking the piss. So I do think there are times in life where you have to sometimes suffer the financial consequences to set a bit of a precedent that you're not just going to, because Bayern Munich came in for Garnacho this week and they were willing to pay us what we wanted in and around the £50 million. And he said, no, he only wants Chelsea, which is fair. He's allowed to only want Chelsea. I've got no issue with that. But I don't want us to yield too much on our asking price. At the end of the day, if Chelsea are only prepared to give him 25 million, my message to Garnacho would be, Bayern Munich are willing to pay 50 million for you, one of the biggest and best clubs in the world. We know you only want Chelsea, but they don't value you. They value you half as much as they value Madueke. They value you half as much as they do all the other players have signed this summer for in and around the £50 million mark. And I'd be making that point very clear to him and saying, if they don't come in, you ain't playing. He's only on 50k a week, so a much cheaper one, and he's still got 3 years left on his deal. So next summer there's still the chance to sell him, and see what he says. But I wouldn't yield personally. I think that the reason why you guys are great sellers, as in Chelsea, is because you never have let the players win. Ever. You've always been stern on them, and we haven't. We've been very, very weak, and we've let our players walk all over us for too long. So
I think it's also how your contracts are structured.
Yeah, the money it would cost us would be money well spent in helping fixing the culture. So I would take the hit personally.
Yeah. And funny enough, you mentioned Bayern Munich. I think they are in for Sancho. They are looking to loan him. I don't know if that's true or not, but I saw it.
So I mean, look, his people have said that they've got some other stuff. Sort of, they think something big's going to cut for them is going to come later in the window. I think what's going to end up happening is nothing big's going to come in for him that he thinks, and I think he's going to end up going back to one of these other clubs and getting a deal done with them. Where I think he's silly is, I know he wants his last year's money at 250, 275 a week, and the other clubs are all offering him 180 to 200. But where he's got to be really careful. I mean, this is the irony in it. The only other, I think, if he has a year of barely playing, I think he's going to be. I know he'll be going on a free, but I think he'll be lucky to get 200k a week in Europe the year after that, with a year not kicking a ball. The only country that would give him more than that then would be Saudi, which he could go to now and probably earn double what he's earning. If it's all about money for him, then go Saudi. They'll pay you double and it's tax free, bruv. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's something about the situation. I feel worried about him. I feel like he's really having, and I wish I wasn't a United fan because people think I'm just talking about from a club perspective. I think he's getting really bad advice. I think he's being advised really, really badly.
Do you know what? I'm not sure, I actually just reckon he's like, I'm not that bothered about playing. But I think his agents, to me, it comes across like this is a guy that's like, do you remember Adel Taarabt?
Yeah.
It's like he thinks he's got the ability that whatever happens, I'll get back to that level. I know I will. And then I think his agents are like, well, like, do you want to go here? Do you want to go there? And he's like, I'm not bothered. Just like whatever, wherever. Because I'm thinking if he only cared about money, I think you're right. You just go Saudi.
But I think it might be about money, but maybe he also wants to live in a certain part of the world. Like, he might be like, I fancy a warm European country at this, but I don't know if football is his first thought. And that's, by the way, again, it's fair in the sense of, I think some footballers, every footballer works hard to make it as a pro, because I think the percentage is like 0.0 something percent of people that try to become pros. To get to Sancho's level, you're in the minutest minority group of footballers in the world. So you've got to work your bollocks off to get there, and I respect every footballer that's done it. But I think he may fit into a category, and there's nothing wrong with this, but it's recognizing it, that they earn good money. Once they get that first big contract that's fucking massive, I think some footballers somewhat switch off. I remember Joe Calzaghe talking about this in boxing, and he was saying that when he was a world champion, he still couldn't afford his mortgage at times. So it made him work so hard. It kept him hungry years into being a world champion. And he was saying that this is after he retired, he spoke about this. He said, but what I see now is guys that go through the Olympic route, come out, get a pro deal. They're a millionaire within 2 fights because of the sponsorships and the endorsements, and they become good fighters. But they never have careers like my generation had. They get to a certain point, they might become world champs, they might just miss out. They have a couple of tough fights where they get hurt. They look at their bank balance and go, there's 15 million pounds in there. They're like, I don't need to put myself through this pain anymore, which is fair. But what you're not getting from them is that same grit, those same levels of fights, that same legacy that the generation prior that had to keep fighting to earn the money went through. And I think you're getting that in football now as well. Rightly or wrongly, I'm not judging it. If you're someone who's suddenly getting paid 12 million a year, the endorsements that come alongside it, one of the biggest clubs in the world, you might look at that and go, well, look, by the end of this, I'm going to have 30 million pounds left in my bank account. It's a guarantee, because it's human nature, that some footballers that get that are just going to start working less hard. That are not going to, I ain't doing the extra gym session. I'm not doing the extra training. Like Cristiano Ronaldo's the other end of that spectrum, has not stopped working on himself that whole time. If that's true, logic dictates there are people the other end of that spectrum that go, I'm just comfortable with what I've achieved, what I've won, what I've done, and I'm just going to tread water. How do we know that exists? It happens in every job in the world. There's some people that push for the stars, and there are others that are, you've all worked in places where there's a guy there, 55 years old. Oh, how long you had this role? Might be the same as you. You might be like 21. You've got the same job as you. Yeah, I've had this 25 years. And I used to ask this question when I was young, because you're naive. Like, why haven't you ever tried to get a promotion? And as you get older, you realize some people are just very comfortable. That's this. I'm happy here. I don't need more than this. And that must also happen in football. And I think there's an element of that with Jadon Sancho, where it's, I'm earning this money. I'm very comfortable. I've got millions in the bank. I'm grand. I don't need to run through brick walls anymore. I think there might be a bit of that, which is why other clubs that run better than United in the last 10 years didn't do contracts like that. Their contracts were more, you're getting 100 grand a week, but it'll go up to 300 grand if we're winning, if you're scoring, if we're winning trophies. So there's always an incentive to keep pushing hard, if that makes sense, because I do get it. Like, as motivated as you guys are to be YouTubers right now, if YouTube suddenly went, there's 3 million quid, we're going to endorse you, and that money's yours in your bank account, you might find some days you go, I ain't going live today. I'm going out. And I think that happens to footballers, man. I really, really do. And again, I'm not even saying it's bad. I just think it's
human nature.
Normal. It is human nature.
Do you know my question though is like and slightly off it, but what happened between Dortmund and United? Like, what happened in that summer? Because I think that move to United was an ambitious move, and I think that was the right move. And at that time, I can see why United gave him that contract.
But I think it's this for me. Again, I don't believe in this notion that he's got a bad attitude. He's a horrible guy. I don't think any of that is true. I've had my moments where I've ranted about him as a player. I've called him a cream puff when he pulled out of a tackle on the edge of a box once, and I stand on that. Like, that was weak. I said, "You cream puff." Like, but that's football. On a personal level, I am not going to judge his personal character because I don't know him. And we all rant when our teams are losing and whatever else. We also will wax overly lyrical when our teams win sometimes. So I don't think he's a bad egg. I don't think he's a horrible person or any of those words. What I think has happened almost since day one is I think he's got the contract, he's come in, and instead of that being a motivator to maintain that level and go again, I get the feeling that he's gone, I've made it and I'm done. And I think when your mindset's, I think it's that. And I think that I don't think he understood maybe the pressure of being on that money for that transfer fee at a club like United, the media scrutiny, what the fans expect, what the media expect. He was signed in the same summer as players like Varane and Ronaldo that wanted, this is how hard you work every day. And I just think Jadon Sancho joined, but he also joined at a time where our dressing room was more like Sancho than it was Ronaldo in terms of the work ethic, the culture, the behaviors. That's been very well documented. So you bring someone in who's in an environment that isn't great, where player power rules, who maybe has gone, I've got this money and I'm not going to work as hard as I used to, whether it was subconscious at the beginning or not. You add those things together, I think that's why it's gone wrong. Example being, if you go back in a time machine now and take Jadon Sancho, and he does a similar deal, but goes to Liverpool, goes into that dressing room, that whole dressing room was full of winners. This is the level. You've got less opportunity to behave like that because you can't get away with it. It's sort of self-policed in that way. And that's why I don't necessarily blame. And listen, I'm only surmising because I don't know Sancho. I'm not in the dressing room. I'm only going by what we've read and an outside view. But I also don't blame him because culturally we're so bad. And when everybody's corruptible in the wrong environment. Every single people go, I'm not, you can never get me. We all are corruptible in the wrong environment. You know, if you suddenly are not forced, but if you're suddenly around an environment where people think this about women or think this about this type of people, people can slowly find their mind, they can get indoctrinated by it. When it comes to work ethic and behaviors, people can get indoctrinated by it. And the less severe, again, when it's very emotive about race, religion, etc., you kick back more because it's something that is very visceral to us. But when it's a work element, you're like, well, only 3 people stay afterwards and train extra, or why would I? Yeah, if everyone's doing it, you're more likely to follow suit because you don't want to be the odd one out. And I just think all of those things combined have been such a massive issue at Manchester United. I really, really do. Massive, massive issue indeed. And I don't blame any of our flop players really in the grand scheme of things. I think it's the club. As Jamie Carragher would say, maybe the football left him. No, I think he left the football. There we go. After the layoffs, can United afford to do this? Not financially, but PR wise. Layoffs plus this is nasty. They know what. Listen, they PR wise maybe not, but this is what people have forgotten. The media didn't report on this because they're snides, and if they reported on it, the people would view it the same as people still think the taxpayer is going to pay for our new stadium when it's been published 7 or 8 times, including by the government, that that's not happening. But yet the media like to put it out there. The cutbacks are made all companies of this size have departments. Each department has its own budget. So just because Department A has had all its budget cut and all the staff are gone, that department's being shut down, doesn't mean Department C is impacted. And if you've worked for a corporate company, a big company, you've seen that. You might work in a company where, like at Barclays Bank, I always use Barclays example. When they lay off half of a call-in center because they don't need them anymore, that doesn't mean that the people at Barcap doing all the investment banking and doing all the trading that are making the company billions are suddenly going to have their bonuses cut in half because that department's still making money. So Man United will always spend and lose more when it comes to player recruitment, senior management recruitment, head coach recruitment than they will spend in the canteen. But the 2 things are separate departments that have different budgets because they have different incomes. So the cost to income ratio as a percentage may be the same, but as an actual figure is different. So in reality, there's nothing wrong with what they've done. the biggest mistake made by you can't spend money on a football player because you made these people redundant. Different departments. PR wise, it's bad, but the mistake at Manchester United wasn't that we had to make people redundant. The mistake is that we employed people that we could never afford in the first place. And that for me was the biggest crime here, which has consistently been ignored. D-Boy here says, you're right, Terry. At Spurs, our third choice keeper is 27 years old, only made 3 appearances, never tried to leave the club. Players get comfortable. Yeah, listen, third choice goalkeepers often say that are the luckiest people in football, especially at a big club. You could be on 20 grand a week for 10 years. You never kick a ball. You never make mistakes. You're rich. It's a very comfortable job. Girona have never played in the Champions League in their history before Citigroup bought them. Feeder clubs get a big push from the talent players. Otherwise, they wouldn't have due to their club finance. I agree. I think there are some very, very good parts to it. But equally, Savinho is now looking like he might get sold for 80 million after only being bought a year ago for around 25 million, right? How has his value gone up by 4 times after having a bad season? The point is, if he's worth 70, 80 million now, shouldn't Girona have got 70, 80 million for him last year to invest more into their club? That's the question that over time Girona fans might look at. Now, people will go, oh no, Terry, but you can only sell within market value. Market value plus what a selling club is willing to sell for. If you look at all the market values on KPMG for most players when they're sold, everyone gets sold well over KPMG's and Deloitte's market value of a player. So that's where you have to look at this and say, how can after a year of not having a good season, City quote 70, 80, 90 million when having only paid 25 million pounds for him? That is where Girona fans over a period of time might go, hang on a minute, what's going on here? We could have done with that money. We could have invested it into, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's the thing that I was making before. The point I was making before is that it's all well and good until and unless like it keeps happening so repeatedly that they start to realize, hey, why is this happening to us? And that's why I had the problem with the gentleman that you had on, I think, a couple of days ago, the Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
Where he was talking about, oh, if it's Newcastle, then they can't sort of say like Isak is 150 million because it's Newcastle. But if it's any other club, yeah. And I was like, bro, that is the wrong way of like thinking about it. If somebody's performing well, especially in a underrated team or a lesser team, this is what's really funny. Sorry to interject. So his market value last summer, according to this is what I mean, transfermarket.co.uk, where people get their market values from. His market value is 50 million euros. City bought him for 25 million euros. Okay. His market value now is 55 million euros, but City are turning around and saying if Spurs want him, it's like 80, 90 million, which is nearer to 100 million euros, which I look at that, and that for me is slight cause for. And by the way, I don't even have Girona owned him. I think Girona had him on loan from the other club, Troyes or whatever they're called. So I don't even know. So Girona didn't even get any money, I don't think, for him. It actually went to the other club. But again, how are they feeling today? Because it's like, is again, who's deciding what the market value is? I mean, ironically, the market value of that football club, Troyes, is only 14 million euros. So you're talking about a player they had that's being sold, maybe being sold a year later for almost 10 times the value, 8 times the value of their football club, and barely a penny of that is going to them. Now, I can't speak for those fans. I mean, and by the way, they've only been in League for 3 years. I don't even know how old they are as a football club. I have no idea, right? But from my point of view, I just look at it. 1986 they were invented. So again, they're a fairly young football club, that all being said. But I would understand, and this is where I think if their fans are happy with the setup and never moan, then I think fair play. But I also look at it and think to myself, oh, by the way, obviously Salzburg are a bit older than I said. It's 37 years in the top league in Austria. Sorry, they've been around since 1933. So I got that wrong earlier. So I apologize. But yeah, look, I just think it's something they have to be mindful of, because these clubs, no matter how big or small, have fans, real people that support them. No, but I agree with you. And that's the point I was about to make, Terry. It's the value right now for 80 million is because of 2 things. One is because of the fact that it's Man City. And 2 is they know the position of Spurs right now. They know that Spurs lost out to like a couple of their signings that they wanted, and they are in a desperate situation. and that's why like they're bidding for Garnacho. That's why they.
I agree. But that's also why can we use fair market value if Strasbourg is selling to you, because Strasbourg are not going to apply that logic. Say you guys desperately need a striker and they've got a brilliant one. If they were selling to Man United, they might go 80 million. But if they turn around to you and go, what's the market value? It's just 26 million. All right, 26 million pound. That's something that's an unfair advantage. And that's all I'm saying for it. They need to make it. They need clarification on this. They need to make it better. Because forget you guys getting a striker that I couldn't get cheap. How do you think the Strasbourg fans feel? Hang on, we could have got 80 million selling to Man United, which is probably more than their whole year's revenue. Yet Chelsea getting for 26 million. That's where they've got to look at the model, I think.
But then
for sure,
sorry, I was just gonna say the caveat might be that maybe you can't float it for that price, because when they look at you, they have the perspective of you are a smaller club. Therefore, we will not pay you. I'm just thinking, is that why these deals happen? Because I'm thinking you're right. Yeah. Like, what should probably be in every contract is if you're going to buy a club, you have to give minimum 25% sell-on clause. That every deal
makes sense.
Yeah. Maybe something like that. Yeah. And that could be how you resolve this. That way, the parent club or the previous owner is now going to get a nice lump sum as well for them to invest in their team. Because theoretically, the aim should be to continue to grow each team and continue to make each team better. And you're not going to put as much into Strasbourg as Chelsea, because Chelsea are a bigger team in a more expensive league, and there's a natural turnover element as well.
And also world champions, Terry.
Yeah. Let's not forget that. Listen, I want to thank everybody that's tuned into the show. Kate and Quest, Andrew, brilliant. Thank you to Kunle and Giuseppe that were on the show earlier today. Everyone who's hit the like button so far, thank you. Please make sure you get that done before you leave. Unless there's breaking news, we're back tomorrow morning, 10:45 a.m. with Ben Jacobs on the show as we build up for another weekend of Premier League football, which I'm very excited about. Cannot wait. Listen, everybody, this is going to redirect you as well to Footy Judge Mo's channel, so go and support my brother over there. But until next time, take care, goodbye, God bless, and we'll see you all again soon. Peace.